queen, okay?
Increasingly, it just descends into a screaming match between pro-Palestinians and pro-Israelis.
And the biggest losers are the victims of this war. 33,000 dead Palestinians, over 1,500.
I don't remember what I said, that they fucking paused. They like
dead
straight up
Israelis.
lowered my volume.
These are the biggest victims of this, because you're shouting at each other and nothing is getting, like, you're completely, forget having no courtesy for us. You're completely disrespecting actual victims of this conflict, which, by the way, didn't happen in a vacuum. And I think that's the most important thing to say about this. None of this happened in a vacuum. Of course, October the 7th was an atrocity and it was completely unjustified. There was no justification for butchering people in the way that they did. But it didn't happen in a vacuum. A lot of the people that live in Gaza weren't even born at the time that Hamas came in power. So I really just, I despise this, you're a terrorist sympathizer, you're a genocide supporter, all of this, when really the people that we should be talking about deserve better.
Okay, James, on the wider point of these protests...
Well, I couldn't get to that part because I wanted to describe what the apartheid is, and Emily cut in immediately to chirp about some random...
Okay, you were both abusing each other. It was very unsatisfying.
It was very
let me ask James. James, on the protests...
Yeah, let's ask this fucking guy. Dude, I'm a little too comfortable with my faux status in the community, obviously,
I didn't want to do that,
because this is a very queer community, and you guys know where my position is on the matters, right? Like, I've been a fucking radical ally to LGBTQ momentum in the country for a very long time. I'm telling you something right now. It was very hard for me not to say, like, who the fuck is this pink-haired twink? It was because I knew, I was like, if I say some shit like that, people are gonna be like, oh, this dude is homophobic, and write me off as like, oh, this dude is definitely homophobic. Because, like,
I don't know. Like, I feel like,
dude, I was trying so, not a slur, obviously, but god damn, son, god damn, like, it was just like, what the f is this guy doing here?
On the protests, look, I believe in the right to protest. That's an absolute bedrock of any democracy. But I don't believe in the right to support terror groups publicly, or to chant about support for Hamas, or to chant about Intifada, which is a violent uprising. Where's the line for you with these?
I agree. I think we have to condemn what Hamas did, and I don't think the words that have been used so far have been strong enough. I mean, We haven't condemned Hamas strong enough, dude. Yeah, you're right, dude. I should literally fucking give more money to Israel. Please. I just paid my taxes, bro. I am literally the #1 Palestinian baby killer at this point, and it's not even up to me. The f do you mean? I have paid for the death and destruction of the Palestinian lives without my fucking consent. Way more than any of these dumb fucking British people have. Okay? Shut the f up. If it were up to me, I would be giving them the Iron Dome. That's what they deserve. The Palestinian people deserve the Iron Dome. Okay? Let's even out the fucking playing field.
Yeah, listen, Piers, okay? This is going to always be a very heated discussion, okay? Having a conversation about how heated this discussion is utterly unproductive. Every single moment that we use on air, not talking about every single university building being desecrated, destroyed. The fact that we're having this conversation on the eve of hundreds of mass graves being unearthed right now in many different parts of Gaza, around hospitals that Israel had laid siege to, is disgusting. I agree. I came on here, as I have done last time as well, and as I will probably do in the future as well, with one simple goal in mind, which is to address all of the misinformation that surrounds stuff like this.
Okay,
the students
so that was worth
over at Columbia, okay, the students that I have talked to.
This is where I try to, like, go back, because this is the reason why I'm there. They told me we're supposed to be talking about campus activism and the anti-Semitism that's like rising on campuses or whatever. So I'm trying to literally like steer the conversation back to that. But of course, because I'm doing that, Piers is gonna fucking cut me off again. At the Columbia University Apartheid Divest group, the students that I've talked to from Jewish Voice for Peace.
All right, Emily, let me just ask you.
Wait, what? Why did he cut that? Oh my God, they edited it. That's a gross edit, bro. How is this uncensored, Piers?
Is there not a better way we can have this conversation?
Funnily enough, correct. And funnily enough, I have the same exact answer as Hassan. My job here is to make sure that I'm debunking false narratives that Hassan is clearly spewing. My job here is to call out hypocrisy, because the Palestinian movement will literally just take what they can get.
She means the
spew
regular
all of the
enemies,
truth
yeah.
into their false narrative, spread misinformation, and then you say that we're the liars. You tell me I'm wearing an IDF dog tag. I'm wearing a bring them home for the hostages that you. No, it says bring them home.
You're using the hostages as a simple political tool to make propaganda in the West. Is quite disgusting.
Let me bring in.
You had like a quarter and you inscribe something on it. Someone says like, you have this quarter. No, look, it says like on it. It's not a quarter. Like, no, it still is. Like, what the fuck? What does that mean? That's horrible logic.
Let me bring in James.
Let's hear from James, dude. Yeah. Thanks, Piers. Let's hear from James. I'm trying to be like, listen, if you're that mad about the hostages, you have to be mad at Benjamin Netanyahu. You have to be mad at Benjamin Netanyahu, who has killed all the hostages. It's a very simple point. That's it. That's the point. But I need to hear from James about how I'm wrong, actually.
James, if anyone is using hostages, surely it's Hamas, Hassan. How can you say that? How can you use that argument? That's a crazy thing to say. It's Hamas that have taken these people from their homes,
tens of thousands of people in Israel. There are
I love how you can tell like he doesn't really care. Like, you can hear it in his voice. He doesn't really give a shit. Like a terrible performance. How can you say that?
Outside of Benjamin Netanyahu's house, protesting every single day. What are they protesting? They're protesting for Benjamin Netanyahu to facilitate a ceasefire with Hamas so that they can actually bring the hostages home. That is precisely the number one goal of the hostages. And if anyone on this panel was being even a little bit honest, they would recognize the reality that, listen, just listen.
But I might have been doing my question. I think I was doing it.
Listen to what I'm saying, and you will understand, perhaps, what I'm trying to imply
very patronizing.
Utilizing the
hostages. I've seen this.
I am being patronizing. I don't know who the f you are, and you're over here chirping all the way from fucking London about Palestine and doing a both sides are fucking fine type bullshit. You're talking about you want to fucking free Palestine, but also simultaneously, you know, both sides got a lot going on. Shut the f up. You don't know anything, okay? I don't give a shit about what you're.
Okay, am I missing something? Do I need something else?
I lost it. I was like, I don't care. Who are you? Shut the f up. At least this dumbass next to me, at least is a little bit f***ing knowledgeable. She knows the propaganda talking points. You don't even know. Yeah, I did do that on TV. Because, like, who the f do you think you are? Who? Shut the f up. This is not your opportunity to fucking pad your CV so you can get a goddamn media spot later on as a fucking podcaster. Big boys are talking about fucking genocide. Put your fucking big boy pants on. Even she liked it. She liked it a little bit.
Hassan doesn't like what you have to say, so you're wrong. It's Hassan's way or the highway.
I mean, you are. There is no both sides on a genocide. Is there a both sides of a genocide? There is no both sides.
Well, the thing is, it's interesting you should mention the hostages.
What is both sides? They want a Jewish genocide, but that's okay. But the Jewish genocide is okay.
If you're talking about the well-being of the if you're talking about the well-being of the hostages, what sense did it make for the IDF to flatten?
Thank God my queen comes in and just because I'm a lightning rod for everyone there, she can just like get away with saying good things.
About 70% of Gaza. Because I completely agree. Bring the hostages home. If you look at Gaza, the topography of Gaza right now, it looks like a pancake. So I'm sorry, this whole argument of Hamas using them as human tools, fine, but the IDF has also been using it to continue that campaign. If you were told that if, God forbid, if your relative was one of the hostages and you saw what's happening right now, and I met someone whose mother is a hostage, and he said he didn't want his mother and her being taken to be used in the name of violence. Right now, he's sitting at home wondering, okay, what is the logic of trying to bring my mother home when you flattened Gaza? Please explain that to us.
Can I pose a question?
You might very well pull those.
No answer. Can I pull a question to you? Hello. You have asked me a question that makes me look bad because I am defending a violent apartheid state. Hello? Are you also Hamas? Right now, at this point, I'm like, brief moment of solace. Finally, some like actually pro-Palestinian sentiment, which is, by the way, just the truth, which is hilarious that we are saying like, oh, something that is like pro-Palestine is being said. But it's just like someone is actually asking understandable questions about the glaringly obvious at the cleansing campaign, I literally was just like, oh, thank God. I was not listening to anything she said because I did not want to get even more mad.
Okay, let Emily respond to that.
Everyone wants to criticize the IDF response, and nobody wants to tell me what should Israel be doing to retaliate October 7th, eradicate Hamas from preventing another October 7th, and bring the hostages
I have an idea.
Do you have a solution?
I have an idea. Do not flatten Gaza and potentially pull your own hostages up from under the rubble, like have been done with thousands of Palestinians. That's a good idea. Yeah. Have you found any of them under the rubble?
So you're saying that you don't have an answer.
That is the answer.
So you
don't kill your own hostages.
But you're quick to condemn the IDF, but you don't have an answer.
How about not killing the hostages?
Very interesting.
I have an answer.
Thank you for proving my point.
It's called the dissolution of the apartheid regime. That's what it's called. Dissolve the apartheid regime.
So what would you like to see happen, Hassan?
Breathing room. Do you not understand the English language? Dissolve the apartheid regime.
You need a Xanax, first of all. You need a Xanax. Okay, so should Israel...
You need a Xanax. I just told you what I mean.
Okay, so should Israel do to the West Bank what they did to Gaza?
Have been ruthlessly slaughtered by the Israeli state.
It makes me a little upset so that it can turn into another Gaza? Is that what you'd like to see? Another terrorist haven launching rockets all day?
God damn it, I'm so stupid.
Turning into Singapore? Because that's what they did in 2005.
Wait, hold on. What is Singapore?
The billions of dollars in aid they turned into building tunnels. Is that what you like to see?
I don't know. Have I gone deaf?
Every day.
Sorry, Emily.
And again, I don't even know
supposed to be Singapore?
the sword for this anymore.
Is the West Bank supposed to be Singapore?
The West Bank has a port. They can import and export. Israel gave them a great piece of land. They received billions of dollars.
Okay, this was another one. This was another moment. When she said Israel gave them a great piece of land, I was like, Israel gave them? Israel gave them? Are you out of your fucking mind? Israel gave them? Liberal Zionism falls apart so goddamn quick. By the way, at least I was able to fucking shut him up from trying to both sides of the situation a little bit.
Not only from
Israel
the
gave
US,
them a great piece of land.
Are you mad? They had a chance to rebuild, but they spent the last 15 plus years crying that they don't have enough land because there is never enough land for them instead of rebuilding. But that's okay. Build terrorist tunnels. Don't build hotels and don't rebuild civilization. Just build terrorist tunnels and put hostages in.
To have a nation state that they deserve by international law since the inception of the Israeli nation state. What you are saying is insane to me. The fact that you brought up the last 15 years as Palestinians crying is disgusting.
Oh, I have one more question.
You are a disgusting little monster who thinks that not offering contiguity to the Palestinians in the form of a state, which is under international law, is just simply Palestinians crying.
One question.
Okay?
This West Bank Singapore. Hold on.
You're a disgusting little monster. Dude, I wanted to say so much more. I wanted to say so much fucking more.
We're getting nowhere.
No, because
Thank you.
Did Yoav Galant not say that?
Israel's cutting off electricity, water, and aid.
Did Defense Minister Yoav Galant say we are fighting human animals or not? Answer that question. Did Defense Minister Yoav Galant say we are fighting human animals and we have to cut off their electricity, cut off their food, cut off their water?
She just said it.
Okay.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm going to cut off. I'm going to cut off.
Yeah, what happened?
It's like we're all saying things we don't mean.
Quote in there that'll help you, dumbass.
I don't really need HPM. Does that hurt me if I touch it? Well, that does.
By the way, first of all, I don't respect any Nepo baby that thinks Twitch streaming is a job. And boy, I want the audience to know, this guy, Hassan, has said in the past that America...
I think he wrote that down too. He's looking at his notes.
...deserve 9/11.
Ilhan Omar says Trump supporters...
They went on this like 3-week tirade.
Not like a lot of news since it's Sunday, so...
This video is sponsored by Private Internet Access. This video, stick around to the end to find out more. A student from Northeastern University demanded her tuition back after she discovered that her professor was using ChatGPT to teach the class.
Shit, I'm so stupid. So dumb.
It wasn't fair, she said, because this professor had banned students from using AI AI while he was using it himself. At another university, a student got some good news. She had gotten an A on a paper, so then she went to go and look at the comments that the professor had left on it, and she found that the professor had copy and pasted an exchange with ChatGPT. Not only was the professor using AI to grade the paper, but they were sloppy about it too. More and more students are using AI for all of their work, and as one writer at New York Magazine put it, it seems like everyone is cheating their way through college. The way people tell this story, AI is ruining education, and on top of that, Gen Z is too lazy to do any work. But cheating at universities is nothing new. It's a long-running issue, and it has to do with the incentives of education in the United States. And it even involves the widespread issue of academic fraud from professors. We'll explore all of that today, starting with this latest problem, AI. When OpenAI was founded, it had a mission. It wanted to ensure that all of humanity benefited from artificial general intelligence. If you read a lot of the early writing that was coming out of OpenAI, it sounds rather utopian. They were saying that they were a nonprofit, they would be focused on just doing research and would even be able to give away that research so that it would benefit the world. All of humanity should benefit from this thing they wanted to create, true AI. OpenAI might be a nonprofit, but within OpenAI, there's a for-profit company. And it's this for-profit company that tries to bring products to market. And OpenAI is now worth something like $300 billion. And that's because people really want what they're selling. Every major artificial intelligence company now heavily markets themselves towards students, and it's definitely working. Nearly half of students and teachers at the K through 12 level say that they use AI, and nearly every college student uses AI in some capacity. The result is that we have issues of plagiarism, cheating, and fraud. AI can write papers quickly, it can make it easy to pass a class, and it frees up a student's time so that they can do stuff that they'd rather be doing, whether that's working a job or thinking about their career prospects or just going out and drinking or something. There are now apps, websites, other services, all dedicated to helping students use AI to cheat and pass their classes. Professors who want to avoid cheating have to find workarounds. They'll sneak in extra words into assignments that are designed to mislead AI, or they'll demand that students take exams with blue books, like literally writing a test with, by hand with a pencil or a pen. This might solve part of the problem, but when it comes to things like take-home assignments or extended essays or even short reading responses, well, the overwhelming odds are that students are using AI to do basically all of that work. The consequences of this are pretty dire. One professor at Cal State Chico said that massive numbers of students are going to graduate from university and they're going to enter the work and they will be essentially illiterate. I think the concern is that whatever skills we think you're supposed to develop when you go to college, when you go to university, aren't being developed at all. That's because more students are finding out they don't need to read or write or have any original thoughts in order to get their degrees. Some universities like Ohio State have decided that the solution is to just embrace AI completely. Ohio State actually says that every student will be encouraged to use AI in every class from now on, but most universities simply don't know what to do. The philosopher Megan Fritz, who teaches at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, wrote an article about this. Fritz sat on several university committees that were trying to come up with AI policies that could help, solve some of these problems at her school. And they got nowhere. They tried to develop policies for departments, but they couldn't keep up with the progress from various AI companies. The technology was just moving too quickly. And in an essay for The Point, she wrote that the biggest difficulty was determining what the goal of an education was supposed to be. And if you can't answer that question, then you probably can't answer any of the questions about AI and cheating. So in his book, The Case Against Education, the economist Bryan Caplan makes the case that Americans spend too much time and too much money on education in general. I would argue against the main thrust of Caplan's book, I think, but he does make an early point that's really important for this discussion. Much of modern education is really not about passing on skills or learning things. It's simply about getting the degree at the end of the day. And that's because a degree signals certain facts about you. And Caplan says that those include intelligence, conscientiousness, and conformity. Many employers will require a college degree for a high-paying job, but they're not necessarily looking for specific skills that you acquired in the course of getting that degree. An art history major might end up working on Wall Street. After I got a PhD in philosophy, I went into tech, and it's not like my PhD in philosophy was directly setting me up to go work in tech. Many people get degrees in things like communications or psychology, and they get jobs that do not require you to know anything about theories of communication or facts about the human mind. By the way, my new puppy, Apollo, is joining us for this video because he really likes to be held. If the skills you acquire in the course of getting a college degree don't actually matter, then why do employers require one? It's because a college degree does usually signal some facts about the job seeker. It just has very little to do with the content of your education. It basically says that you were able to survive for 4 years at an institution that has kind of arcane and arbitrary rules, and that you were good enough at following those rules and smart enough to navigate them that you could get a degree at the end. And guess what? Working at a large corporation is going to be an experience of surviving an arcane and obscure institution with weird rules. Kaplan's theory doesn't really account for specialist degrees like engineering, but we can set those aside because those are a minority of degrees. I think deep down, actually, many students realize that this is true. They look at many of the classes they have to take in college and they think, why does any of this matter? All I'm looking to do is to just get a better job at the end of this. If you're going to college to increase your career prospects or to climb the social ladder, well, you know, Philosophy 101 isn't necessarily going to help you do that. And if you're a student who understands this, then using AI to cheat isn't just reasonable, it might be the rational thing to do. At least it is within your self-interest. You're not there to wax philosophical about Kantianism versus utilitarianism, or to go and write an essay about Charles Dickens. I wish more people wanted to do those things, but it's not why most people go to school. Kaplan really is just thinking about the incentives of getting a college degree. And I think if there's like a big thesis for this video, it's that incentives matter. To make Kaplan's point a little bit clearer, you could look at the phenomenon of diploma mills. These are institutions that set themselves up like colleges and universities. They are often for-profit and unaccredited, and in exchange for some money and very little work, you can get a college degree. It's even a way to get a PhD in some cases. Some schools will simply give you the degree if you pay them enough money. That's the most egregious example, but other schools will simply just make it very easy for you to get the degree. They'll count work experience as credit, for instance. And you'll be able to get out of most of your coursework, so you just take a couple of classes, you write one 20-page paper, and bam, you have a master's degree from online university. And if all you need on your resume is just a degree from some school so that some AI filter at some company will let you through so that a human being will actually just read your resume, well, then it kind of makes sense to go and get a degree, even though these things are, you know, scam. Not having a degree is a problem if you're looking for a job. A fake degree solves that problem, and you don't have to learn anything. Perhaps the tragedy of what is happening at many universities where students could just use AI to cheat on everything is that kind of all education is eventually just going to be fake and made up because nobody actually has to learn anything to get a degree. When I read Kaplan's book, I immediately saw a connection to another issue in academia, the widespread presence of academic fraud. This is research fraud that's committed by professors. Recently, there was the case of a Harvard Business School professor, Francesca Gino. Her tenure was revoked, which almost never happens, and she was fired from Harvard after an investigation found significant evidence of fraud in her research. It seems she had used fake data in multiple studies, and some of the papers where she faked this data was research on authenticity and honesty.
This is really
it's very rare for tenured academics to ever be fired. If you can get tenure, it is basically a guarantee of a job for life. And that should show you just how serious these infractions were. The investigation into Gino's work started several years ago, and it actually began with some science bloggers. That's where a lot of academic fraud seems to be discovered. These bloggers found significant issues in at least 4 of Gino's published papers. Gino tried to say that she was a victim of defamation and gender discrimination, and that her privacy had been invaded. Then she sued Harvard, she sued the dean of the Harvard Business School, her boss, and she sued those bloggers, but that case was thrown out by a judge. And now Harvard Business School has determined that she really did fake data, and now she's lost her job. But Gino is not alone in committing academic fraud. Throughout 2024, there were many high-profile academics who were found guilty of plagiarism, or as they sometimes put it, inadequate citation, including a former professor of Harvard. And just recently, a PhD student at MIT in the economics program had a paper pulled, and I believe is no longer a student at MIT, after the university investigated it, and they went on to say they had no confidence in the veracity of the research. Because of privacy laws and university policies, MIT really can't say much beyond that. They don't even use the student's name in that announcement, though they give the title of the paper, and if you were to look for the title, you would easily find the author's name. This might seem fairly minor because students cheat on papers all the time. However, this paper was scheduled to be published in a good economics journal, and it had already been posted as a preprint on the website Archive. That's a website where scientists post copies of their research so that it's more freely accessible. In this case, the problem was that the research was fraudulent. If the paper had been legitimate, it would have made this student's career because it had a really provocative conclusion. It seemed to show that using AI actually boosted a firm's research productivity. So incorporating AI would actually make employees more productive. This is a result that many people who are big fans of AI would love to see. It would seem to be a great response to like skeptics of generative AI. People were naturally interested in this paper, and it was getting a lot of buzz from the moment it was posted on arXiv. And if you're a graduate student, that's the sort of paper that you would want to publish as you go into the job market. It's the sort of paper that would identify you as a young and brilliant scholar who was going to produce great research, and you would definitely get a job. You could be set for life based on a paper like that. And sometimes this academic fraud has real-world consequences. One of the most famous academic frauds is Brian Wansink. Wansink was a nutrition scientist at Cornell, and he's actually responsible for some studies that entered the public consciousness. You might believe some of the things that was initially discovered, that's discovered in quotes, by Wansink and his team. Have you ever heard that shopping on an empty stomach is a bad idea because you'll buy more food, or maybe you'll buy more junk food? That was originally from a Wansink study, and I believe that study has been discredited along with much of his other research. He was also responsible for that idea that the size of your plate determined how much you wanted to eat at a meal. In 2017, it was discovered that Wansink had in some cases fabricated data, and in other cases he had done misleading analyses of the data to try and support his claim. The simplest way to describe that, though, is that he committed fraud. He was actually found out because he wrote a blog post about his own methodology, and he admitted that sometimes he would have graduate students go over experiments that seemed to be initial failures and go looking for interesting results in the data. And this is a classic sort of research misconduct. And Wansink, like Gino, was only discovered because some science bloggers got interested in the issue. They started looking into it, and then once they found something interesting, they kept digging. When Cornell reviewed his research, they found many problems, including misreporting research data, problematic statistical techniques, failure to properly document and preserve research results, and inappropriate authorship. When we're talking about student misconduct at universities, like using AI to cheat in all their classes, I think it's also important to look at professors and ask questions about why do so many professors commit research fraud? Or you could ask the more general question, just why do they lie? We like to think of scientists as noble individuals in pursuit of truth. How are they tempted to abandon this pursuit of truth and then go and commit fraud? One of the best writers on this subject is Liam Coffey-Bright. He's a philosopher at the London School of Economics, and he studies the social epistemology of science. In other words, he studies how the institutions and group dynamics of science affect scientific progress. And in a paper, Why Do Scientists Lie?, Bright points out that if you have a PhD in physics or some other science, you could actually go and get rich by leaving academia and entering industry. If you're looking to get rich as a scientist, you're better off just leaving academia. And that would suggest that most professors don't commit fraud because they're greedy. If they were really greedy and just wanted more money, they would just quit their university jobs. Bright instead defends an idea that's originally due to Robert Merton. Merton theorized in the 1960s that scientists are what we could call credit seekers. Another term that Bright and Merton use is honor. They seek status in the scientific community, the way we have arranged our institutions, and you achieve status by producing research, and we typically want novelty, so we want the results to be new, and volume of output. Most academic researchers go through something called a tenure review at some point in their career. This is where academics evaluate your work, and they decide whether or not you should be granted tenure. And if you get tenure at a school, you are basically guaranteed a job for life. You're not going to become fabulously wealthy this way, but it essentially guarantees an upper middle class existence. And if you fail your tenure review, typically you're fired. And to pass your tenure review, you prove that you're a good researcher, and two of the major metrics that we use to judge this are the number of articles or books that you've published and how often you're cited by other people. So essentially we're asking, do you produce a lot of research, and is that research interesting enough that people keep talking about it when they do research? Turns out that both of these metrics can be gamed. There are journals that you can pay to publish your academic papers. It's fairly easy to get caught doing this, but some academics still do it. Another way, though, is to commit fraud. And most academics who commit research fraud probably don't think they're doing anything that bad. And they're not going to do things that are as egregious as some of the people that we've talked about today, like where they just fake data, they make things up. So instead, they're fudging statistics. They slightly misdescribe the evidence. They might even believe that they're doing nothing wrong. When you're properly incentivized, you can deceive yourself. If you want to then get cited more, well, you can pay for that too. You can still get caught. So again, if you want to avoid scandal and boost your citations, you just need to publish new and interesting ideas. Take a look at how Bright puts it. Scientists want and need credit for new results. To ensure their results are new, i.e. novel enough to have a plausible claim to establishing priority, scientists have to do their work sufficiently quickly that nobody else beats them to the punch. So because these scientists have to work fast, they are incentivized to either be sloppy or to commit fraud. See, that's the incentive. Researchers commit fraud because they are rewarded for publishing often and for publishing big results and for appearing to be geniuses. So they fudge the numbers, they sometimes outright lie, and they fabricate data. Other times you plagiarize, where you just steal research from other people. In other words, you find a way to cheat. I think when students decide to cheat in college, essentially what they're trying to do is game the system. They want the economic or lifestyle benefits of an education, but they don't want to have to put in the work. Human beings are often lazy. They look for shortcuts. It's a normal way to behave. It might not be an admirable way to behave, but it's at least normal. And the academics who commit fraud are doing roughly the same thing. They want the benefits of having done this great research, but they look for shortcuts. You look at both of those cases, there's one common lesson, simply that incentives matter. How you structure an institution matters. And how an institution is structured and what it rewards matters. There aren't going to be quick fixes to either problem. You know, part of the problem is you have to convince people that being truthful or doing your homework or really thoroughly going over all your data matters. And essentially what you're doing is convincing people to spend more of their time doing things that probably they don't really want to do. And this is, I think, the big challenge that universities around the country are going to be facing. I've talked many times in this channel about the ways that universities have sort of lost their way. They are beholden to a certain economic model of education, which can make it difficult to see why actually getting an education in the first place matters. And we're seeing more attacks on higher education from various parts of the government. A day or two before recording this, I saw the news that Indiana University, which is a premier state university that's known for its language programs, just cut many of those programs due to low enrollment. There's a new state law that says that if you don't have a certain number of graduates per year, the major and the PhD program and everything just go away. And so now they've just gutted some of the best language departments in the country. When it comes to education in the United States, I think we're at an inflection point. Universities have to figure out what they want to offer to the world, what they want to offer to students, and what they want to be going into the future.
It's pretty good. It's not better than
People might know that I used to be an academic, and one of the most difficult things about leaving academia and becoming an independent researcher was that I lost access to institutional libraries. And that means I don't have access to things like scholarly journals. So sometimes I end up going down rabbit holes on the internet trying to find the right PDFs. And whenever I do that, I want to make sure that I'm using a VPN. And in particular, I use Private Internet Access, and they're sponsoring this video. A VPN essentially is a way for you to browse the internet more securely. It hides your IP address and safeguards your internet connection through an encrypted tunnel. This way, it shields your digital life and keeps your personal information from people who might want to exploit it. Think people like hackers or internet service providers or even governments. On top of that, many services and websites have content that can only be accessed if you have the right IP address. Basically, you have to be accessing it from a certain country.
Two extremely successful comedians, Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, recently took a 6-week break from their podcast that was already dropped.
I don't know who this is. I feel bad about watching it.
In views, but what happened while they were gone made them realize their entire audience has officially turned on them.
We read the comments too. We're not going to save the show.
What took place in their absence was so bad that their comeback episode was originally titled "We're Sorry We're Back." However, instead of listening to their fans' reasonable criticism, they ignored it and went right back to doing the same thing that pissed off their audience in the first place.
You only have what you have because of fans, so don't talk about us like that. Yeah, but you're still a loser.
Now their podcast is in a worse position than it was before, and it's only a matter of time before two of the highest selling comedians in the industry have to shut down their show.
Welcome to the final episode ever of Two Bears, One Cave.
But this was possibly a long time coming, because only a few episodes into Tom and Bert's Two Bears, One Cave podcast, fans were already starting to notice some problems. You have to understand that the dynamic between Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer was originally originally a perfect match. Tom garnered a diehard fan base online through his podcast, Your Mom's House. One of their legendary ongoing segments was called the Cool Guy Club. Tom and his comedian wife, Christina P., would find bizarre, cringeworthy clips of guys online who had extremely questionable lifestyles, like Robert Paul Champagne, who would publicly request that strangers have sex with him, dox himself, sharing his address and personal information, which Tom and Christina P. shared with their millions of fans.
If you're a hot black guy and you want to f me at $23.95, if you want to move in, you can move in, but you gotta I need you a lot, man. You get free food, free rent, and everything else, man. Here's the deal, man. Men from jail, homeless, or you're a thug, you want to come move in, your friend can move with you too, man. Free rent, you get a lease and a key. I mean, piss on me, beat me, I'm home here now. You see me, you want to come over today and try it out, man.
So, stuff like that.
And who is he?
He's that guy. His name is Robert Paul Champagne. He lives in New York. You could visit him in your home.
Another cool guy was Tony Johns, Utah's most infamous ladies' man.
You know, like deadass though, like breakups are hard. Don't get me wrong, ladies and gents, playboys and playgirls. Woo, breakups are hard, but you gotta realize.
Holy sh! I think I auditioned for this.
Tom didn't just laugh at these guys. He committed to the bit in a way that blurred the line between mockery and admiration. He would mimic their voices, turn their words into catchphrases, and talk about them as if they were legendary figures worthy of respect. It was obviously sarcastic, but Tom's ability to both ridicule and celebrate them at the same time made the Cool Guy Club feel less like a roast and more like an initiation into an inside joke that only loyal listeners fully understood. Which is why when Tom and Bert Kreischer announced their Two Bears, One Cave podcast, it was almost like Tom was doing an entire show with a cool guy. Now obviously, Bert was not as bizarre and unhinged as some of these random internet characters. He was also a popular comedian, who obtained a fan base of his own through years of grinding comedy clubs, and of course being friends with Joe Rogan. But to Tom's fans, Bert embodied a lot of that same chaotic energy. Loud, unpredictable, indulgent, and always ready to overshare every embarrassing detail about his life.
I don't think she knows, but I'm doing this thing where I tape my mouth shut at night to sleep because I think it'll stop me from snoring, and last night I just started suffocating. She woke up to someone like I was having a dream.
Like that? And you're like, at least I'm not snoring.
Oh, help me! Get it out of my mouth!
Tom and Bert's most viral moment was only 36 episodes in, when Bert admitted that he drinks 2 massive jugs of Kool-Aid every day. It caught Tom so off guard that his head nearly exploded from laughter.
You're drinking Kool-Aid to start your day? Really?
It's so good.
What kind?
Red. Kool-Aid is awesome. It really is awesome.
Find any other. There's no like.
Pour a little something for yourself. It's watered down. It's not too bad.
You really drinking
ice
Kool-Aid?
cold. It's ice cold. Yeah.
You are drinking Kool-Aid.
Yeah. It's awesome.
You're drinking 64 ounce.
Yeah, I'm just waiting.
You know, people walk around and they're like, good for that guy. He drinks a lot of water. It's Kool-Aid.
Bert lives like how a kid would imagine being an adult is like. Basically, the appeal of the podcast was Tom being the sharp, quick-witted observer who thrived on irony. Now, Bert was the sort of goofy, idiot, lovable best friend at first, but it quickly turned into him being insufferable. But first, as I've gotten older, I sometimes think it's time to start taking my own health a little more seriously. I have a handful of different symptoms that I try and self-diagnose online instead of doing the right thing and going to a professional. That's why I was so relieved when I found today's video sponsor, ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. ZocDoc makes it easy to book in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers. With ZocDoc, you can filter for doctors by insurance, location, and specialties, and see Less than 1 year in, fans of Tom and Bert were questioning how long the 2 Bears 1 Cave formula could realistically last. Is anyone else losing interest in 2 Bears? Tim and Bert are still really funny, but the podcast has felt stale for some time now. It seems like at some point, they really started focusing on Bert's idiosyncrasies, which, don't get me wrong, can be funny, but it's pretty much the same thing every week. And the longer it goes on, the more I feel myself getting annoyed by Bart and whatever zany thing he's doing this week. At the time, this was the minority opinion. Fans weren't looking for anything special. They found a level of comfort in just listening to 2 old friends play off each other and have one unserious conversation after another. The hate for Bert on this subreddit is ridiculous. Agreed, some of the guests have been pretty good, but I'm usually bored with them towards the end of the episode. Bert and Tom have chemistry that doesn't get old in my opinion. And even though a majority still loved the pod, it only took a few episodes to realize how mind-numbing Bert's screechy laugh was.
Where do you think you would hit her?
Swear. You don't understand like how much harder that is than like any Metroidvania ever.
The audience was slowly turning on Bert, annoying. Admitting that Tom was the only reason they would tune in every week. Bert Kreischer has been a comedian for decades. He is often criticized for being sort of a one-trick pony, because he constantly tells the same story about traveling to Russia when he was a college super senior, allegedly befriending the Russian mafia, drinking enough vodka in front of the guys to impress them, and referring to himself as the Machine.
The second the door opens and I'm face to face with a real Russian gangster, he just looks at me and goes, "Storm," and everything I planned on saying flooded out of my head. And all I said to him, "I am the Machine."
However, Bert's silly drinking stories turned into genuine concern from Tom and the fans, suggesting he may have a problem.
About 3 days where he'll have, 6 to 8 drinks, and then 3 days where we're talking about usually 12 to 18 drinks, right?
Oh my goodness.
Is there any side effects with that? Anything happening?
There's a name for it. It's called alcohol use disorder. But a name alone doesn't tell the whole story. Bert, listen, we love you. I've never met you in person, but the world loves you. Like, don't need it.
This guy, it's wild that he's alive.
Theo Vaughn even tried to have a serious conversation with him about it, but Bert is notorious for justifying his actions by any means necessary.
Do you think that you're an alcoholic?
I have an extra.
I've run it through the ringer a few times. Dr. Drew's
There was an extra spell.
And I've talked to him about it. He's like, you're not an alcoholic. You just drink too much. He's like, alcoholism's different. Being powerless to alcohol is different than drinking a lot. I drank a lot yesterday, and I woke up in the middle of the night in a sizzle. I was so hot, and all of a sudden my body went and poured sweat.
Oh.
Back to sleep.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Like almost like when a truck stops and it's like,
It woke me up. I was so hot.
Bert, I'm not an alcoholic. Also, Bert, I got drunk yesterday and woke up shaking with night sweats. Him making rules about drinking, like not drinking on a Monday or Tuesday and not drinking on planes, is exactly something an addict does. We make rules for ourselves to make us feel like we have control over it.
Then I'm not an alcoholic. People have asked me that so often, and I go, no. And they're like, really?
I think that you've told me directly that you think you have a problem.
No, I have a problem with everything. Food, with sex. Like, I everything. I have a problem with everything. That's just my personality. Dr. Drew kind of analyzed me, and he was like, you're not an alcoholic, but you definitely drink too much.
At first, Bert's drinking fit his life of the party persona. He even does all of his stand-up performances with no shirt on. But Bert constantly talking about alcohol went from funny to uncomfortable to listen to.
There's two types of people. There's addicts and there's partiers. Partiers stop when the party's over.
Yeah.
And then addicts just never stop.
That's true.
I was like, oh yeah, I stop when the party's over.
Now, it's one thing to occasionally laugh at a story about drunken chaos in college, and it's another to see a 50-something-year-old man literally romanticize drinking alcohol.
Come on in and get a drink. And I was like, no. I was like, God damn it, man. If this was any other day, I'd be like, oh, yeah. And I just double Tito's on a big glass, no lime. Can I get a second one? I'm just going to murder this one real quick.
It started looking like self-destruction playing out in real time. Bert was gaining weight, face getting bloated, puffy, and red. And listening to him complain about it was not entertaining. It was sad.
And then you look at he's like me, who wake up at midnight and then take more NyQuil because they don't want to sit with their thoughts. I mean, I look at like men. I am so far from a man. I am so far from a man. Like, I'm so far from like a man, right? A man who goes, everyone else first, then me.
Like edited? Did he?
That's not how I think.
That was weird.
I go, me? And then, oh, there are other people here?
The podcast turned into almost an intervention, with even their fan base expressing concern, which was honestly pretty wholesome. It's nice to see that fans genuinely wanted to see Bert get better, and to their surprise, he eventually announced to everyone that he was going to get sober, but only for 23 days.
I'm going sober for 23 days.
What happens tomorrow that you're going for 23? Why?
I mean this heartfelt. When we started this, the sleuths who were like, he's talking about Bert, and I read the comments and they weren't hurtful. They were like people concerned, and I was like, if that's how people are seeing me, that's not how I want to be seen.
Then after 3 weeks, he said this.
Day 21, no booze, no sugar, no carbs, and I feel fantastic.
More energy, thinking clearly, not feeling hungry. He said his blood pressure dropped to the point where he didn't have to take his medication. Bert was shocked at how good his life could be. I'm down 40 pounds. I haven't had alcohol or sugar in 83 days. I've been primarily carnivore. That all ends today. Despite all this great news and all of the positive effects of getting sober, Bert decided to celebrate his sobriety by getting absolutely hammered on the Fully Loaded cruise, which was a multi-day long private cruise/comedy show that he spent 1 year planning. At some point, the fan base just stopped feeling bad for someone who clearly doesn't want to help themselves. And as if that wasn't insane enough, they launched their very own vodka brand, which essentially incentivizes Bert to literally never put down the drink. On top of that, Bert had this chronic habit where he needed to cut people off, talk about himself, and then laugh loudly for minutes on end. Just look at Tim Dillon sitting there sober, listening to Bert's fake laugh, and genuinely looking like he wanted to leave the room as soon as possible.
Just to give you an idea, I mean, yeah, man. Well, thanks for having us over.
Oh, God damn it!
I appreciate it and all. The caviar was. You're fine. It's all good. We had a good. This was nice.
Do you smell toast? Oh, I got slapped, dude.
I wish you were toast.
I got just. Oh man, that's embarrassing.
Unfortunately, Bert loves himself too much to ever realize how annoying he can be when he talks and laughs in conversations with others. They are kind of opposites. Tim is highly authentic, even painfully so, whereas everything Bert does is contrived. Now, a couple years into the pod, for many, Tom Segura was the only saving grace for Two Bears, One Cave, and it was holding on by a thread. But that was about to change. Tom went through some radical life transformations and started to lose the appeal he once had as a comedian. He got in shape, moved to Austin, and became unfathomably wealthy, which sounds admirable, but to longtime fans, it brought out the worst in him. Tom's self-deprecating, slightly unpolished comedic style was replaced by an unrelatable rich douche, and these days fans can't really tell if he is joking anymore. When Tom Segura first started getting famous in the comedy world, his style was completely different from the Tom we see today. If he wasn't pointing out his weight or talking about what he does in a hotel room in his spare time, he just presented himself as a regular guy, avoiding attention by any means necessary.
I used to wear hats a lot. You can't wear a hat anymore, not if it has an athletic logo on it, because some strange man that you've never met before will take you on a conversation to nowhere.
But after he ruptured his patellar tendon and fractured his humerus after jumping less than 1 foot off the ground, he realized he desperately needed a fitness transformation. Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to improve your health. The fans had been begging Bert to do the same for years, but it started to consume his personality. When Bert wasn't available for the podcast, Tom was bringing on athletes and powerlifters like Mark Bell, which some fans admitted was still better than listening to Bert, whereas others wondered if this was even a comedy podcast anymore. I have no interest in weightlifting or bodybuilding, but this was still a fascinating conversation, so refreshing over the ramblings of Burnt. I get that Tom and these dudes are pals, but all of these fitness guys are a serious snooze fest. At the same time, the Two Bears were exploding in fame and financial success. Tom landed multiple Netflix specials, Ball Hog in 2020, followed by Sledgehammer in 2023, cementing him as one of the biggest comedians of this era. His ticket sales skyrocketed, selling out arenas all over the country. He moved his family into a $6.5 million Austin, Texas mansion down the river from Joe Rogan, bought luxury cars, and much of his humor was now centered around his wealth. Tom and Bert shared sweet stories about how they convince each other to buy expensive things because they deserve it.
Tom,
sends me a very heartfelt text. Hey man, you're busting your ass on the road. You work nonstop. You're gone 2 weeks at a time. You have 2 podcasts. It goes on in like this really heartfelt text. You deserve to treat yourself every now and then. This is an affordable treat. Do it for yourself. And so I go back. I buy the watch. Next day, I'm sitting having coffee, looking at the watch, going, God damn it, I love this. I really love looking at it. It cheers me up. I called Tom. I said, hey man, I appreciate you sending me that message. Leanne tried to convince me, and I wouldn't do it, but your message meant so much to me. He's like, oh cool. I go, what are you doing? He goes, well, you know, I sent you that message, and I realized that shit applies to me too. I'm in a Rolex store. I'm buying a new Rolex. Wow. He bought a new Rolex the next day.
Yeah. And if this was all it was, anybody criticizing Tom would just look petty and jealous. Most reasonable people agree that success should be celebrated. Being healthy and wealthy is the ultimate goal for the average American. However, Tom took it a bit too far when he started lecturing his audience on their broke mentality.
Every time we talk about like a watch or a car, I'll get a bunch of messages from losers that try to tell me that I'm making them feel bad about their situation. You're in control of your own situation and your own feelings. So don't put it on me that you feel bad, that I have something that, but I'm struggling with rent this month. Figure it the fuck out, okay? Like, don't make my life be a problem for your life. If you don't like it, guess what? You're not gonna be able to control what people talk about. People are gonna talk about things that you don't have for the rest of your life. So you can decide like, okay, I won't, fine, don't listen to me, don't listen to that person anymore, but you have to control your own feeling. It's not on other people to make sure they don't talk about a topic that makes you feel bad, all right? Like, I lost 20 grand gambling this weekend.
There was absolutely no comedy in this message. That was an honest confession of how he feels.
If you're still mad about this, just know that it's your mindset and you're thinking like a loser, but you don't have to. You can change the way you think, but you have to accept the way you're thinking right now is not going to get you anywhere. You're being bitter, you're being petty, you're insecure, you're not confident. You can change that, but you have to be proactive.
And it would have been
nice just sit around. You only have what you have because of fans, so don't talk about us like that. Yeah, but you're still a loser.
Now, if Tom just went back to his typical comedic style, this could have easily been seen as
Dave, it was a blast while it lasted, and we're here to sign off. We thank Stavi and Chris DiStefano for taking over. We know you enjoy them, and you will continue to enjoy them. Bert, good to see you.
Good to see you. Did you watch any other episodes?
I would watch like.
You did not.
I saw parts of it.
You don't watch any fucking podcasts.
To give Bert the benefit of the doubt, he talked about how he watched every single episode.
This is Chapo. We're here. And I wanted to take a dip into young master Ben Shapino's latest masterpiece. I am going to warn you, it is not as uproariously funny as his attempt at writing a novel.
It's really tedious.
This is really tedious, and he is, again, incredibly impressed with, what he thinks of in himself as this huge breadth of knowledge about Western civilization.
He's a dumber Steve Bannon.
But less coke.
This is Chapo. We're here, and I wanted to take a dip into young master Ben Shapino's latest masterpiece.
Not me.
I am going to warn you, it is not as uproariously funny as his attempt at writing a novel.
It's really tedious.
This is really tedious, and he is, again, incredibly impressed with, what he thinks of in himself as this huge breadth of knowledge about Western civilization.
He's a dumber Steve Bannon.
But less coke.
Yeah,
he's on like
you need the coke to do that reading.
Monster Energy drink.
Yeah,
well, Steve Bannon does funny things. Like when he was like, it was like the first week of Trump's presidency, and they were like, doesn't the entire National Security Council just fucking hate each other? Aren't you guys just getting nothing done, and everyone hates the shit out of each other, and it's just like a constant backstabbing? And
he's a messy bitch.
Yeah, you're just getting pushed out by people who've been in government and haven't just been writing blogs for 10 years. And Steve Bannon was like, well, it's like Dostoevsky says, all families are different. He double fucked it up.
No, he's so much better. He's so much better than Shapiro, because if you hung out, and this is why I think journalists love Bannon so much, and why he was more magnetic, just because if you're stuck in a room with both of these guys, one of them by the end of it is like, I want to kill myself. Only one of them is going to talk to you about how you should buy a minor league baseball team together.
Yeah, Bannon, like, I feel like...
I wonder if Bannon is the kind of coke user I am, where he just gets really supportive.
I bet he is.
Oh my God, yeah. You should write that play.
Geert, you're doing such a good job at Netherlands, dude.
We
You
should
are doing
take
so great.
a rock climbing class, like right now.
Geert,
Right
you're
now,
amazing.
we should.
Geert, your hair is amazing.
I
Geert,
bet you'd be
I
good
love
at
you.
it.
That's why there are so many like good, terrible far-right art projects.
Sorry, honey, I
Steve
don't-
Bannon just hung out with enough guys, and he's like, "Hey, you should totally write a play where Claudius
Exactly.
comes back to life in modern-day LA and shows up these gangbangers
intel. How about I
with
just-
classical knowledge or whatever the fuck he's into." Ben Shapiro has some funny stuff. Like, he's had a bunch of things where he's like, my favorite tweet from Ben Shapiro is the one where he goes,
I use that.
"The
That's
fact
right.
that
Do I have
people
nice
listen to rap
arrows?
music instead of Mozart
Nice
proves
bow.
that many people are stupid." But it just,
Gotcha.
it just like,
Actually, no, I
you
should
want to
keep,
hang out with that guy? No, I don't
best
want to hang out
friends.
with either of them, but I feel like, yeah, you have a higher chance of fun with Bannon.
So the title of Ben Shapino's
So he makes you feel pretty.
the title of Ben Shapino's new book is called "The Right Side of History: How Reason and Moral Purpose Made the West Great." And this is like the newest entry in a line of these
there was no
boilerplate
reason
fucking
anywhere else in the
conservative
world.
dad
Like, that's
books
like some
about,
such
like you said, this, like, I don't know, high school level intro.
insane. Like, look, our reason. It's like it's shit that people used to believe, like, just like hundreds of years ago.
Western civilization,
when they
of which the
never
point
had
is,
met anyone
like,
else
there's a
from
reason
any other
America is a great
civilization.
country in the world, and it's because of God and rational thought.
It's just
And
he
the,
is literally one of the.
I'm gonna blow my brains out. Like, a video game.
Those Twitter accounts that just has classical Greek statuary. Like he's that kind.
Oh,
He's,
yeah.
he's pivoting
Just
into
audio
that
devices.
kind of right winger.
Well, that's the new skin they're putting on racism, because it's not palatable to be about
But
racial
that literally
categories.
just bit him in the ass. I don't know how he didn't see it coming, just from a self-preservational kind of point of view. It's like when Schlafly, like, smacked down equal rights amendment, and then she really thought she was going to get a cabinet position.
Yeah.
And, like, Gloria Steinem, who I think is a goof and I have a lot of problems with, which
She's
is
the
like
feds. She's the
she
feds,
she is
too,
the
low
feds,
key.
yeah. But she was like, poor fella, she calmed her way right out of a job.
Okay, so and then the subhead here and the flap copy just says, "America has a God-shaped hole in its heart."
Right, what? Hold on.
Argues New
Excuse
York
me?
Times best-selling author
What?
Ben Shapiro.
Hit me
And
in
we-
that
and we
God-shaped hole.
shouldn't fill it with
Oh.
politics and hate. We've
Oh,
got a
boy.
big ass hole, and we need to stuff it with God, not
Can you-
politics
Yeah,
and
where's
hate.
the
America's pussy
But I
wide
just-
AF.
yeah,
Can you please God my nag hole?
America is gaping right
But
now.
I just want to say, like,
Sounds like Katie's,
the reason I wanted to talk
Stoll
about this and look at his
from
book this week is, like,
The
again, like
Mornings.
the
I can't really
backdrop
hear
to
it 'cause
this
that
is
sounds pretty quiet,
basically the pogrom that he is beginning to try to inspire both
Stoll,
against
I'm
Ilhan
thinking of, I don't know her name.
Omar, Muslims of any kind in this
Sunday
country,
mornings, girl,
and immigrants of any kind.
Yep.
So he's trying to say that, like, oh, we've become so divided and hateful, but, like, let's look at why. And I think
know,
it is
it's
interesting.
part
Like,
of
the
the,
book is, like I said, dog shit and incredibly,
Garbaggio.
incredibly
It is
tedious.
Part of woke
It is
too,
so
is
But
not
I
not
think,
saying girl.
like I
Like,
said,
feel
the
like people
pivot and
will
like
encounter
the
that really
what he's attempting to
handle
pull off here, I
for a
think,
little
does
boy.
speak to a certain kind of right wing politics that is trying to be
I
in
guess,
vogue now. Because I mean, famously about Ben Shapiro, again, he's another one of
Maybe if
these
somebody-
very anti-Trump guys
How
who,
would the girl?
again, strangely have sort of come around on
They're
that.
all-
And for
you
some
know,
odd
you know what it is?
reason,
I
yeah.
blame the Democrats for not being a reasonable
Exactly.
opposition. You
That's
went too
so-
far to the
that's
left.
We did not read the whole book. I farmed out a few of these chapters. I read the introduction and first chapter, which I think basically tell you everything you need to know. But I'd like to, join me and us now in going through some of this book. And I think like it will become apparent what he's trying to do here. So the very first line of the book is, This book is about two mysteries. The first mystery, why are things so good? The second mystery, why are we blowing it? And
Damn,
Matt,
why am I so good?
Matt, like you said,
I'm sorry,
like
if you're like
his politics is the conservatism of a time of plenty.
Yep.
And
that's
this is
what you
essentially
read,
what he's
but you
setting
must
up
just,
in
like,
his
immediately
introduction
get
is that
buyer's
like
remorse.
this Panglossian view
Right?
of
Like, you can't be like,
America
oh, yeah, like,
is
'cause
like, hey,
everything's
everything is so great. People have TVs and cars, and like for the most part,
Isn't like the
you
whole
know,
premise
food is
of MAGA that
plentifully
like everything
available,
fucking
and, like,
sucks?
but why are we so damn depressed?
That's
He
why you
also
have to make it
provides,
great
by the way,
again, right? Like,
extremely
shouldn't- like,
faulty
why would you be talking about how great
information
everything
on
is?
infant maternal mortality rates.
I'll get into that. So he goes, in 1900, some 10% of all infants
where's the
died
fucking
before
ice?
reaching their first
Yeah, there we
birthday
go.
in the United States. In other
That's where I'm
countries, the number was far higher. Approximately 1 in every 100 mothers could expect a giant childbirth. And he's going like, oh, using infant mortality rate as an example of like it's dropped dramatically and like as you did in like the 19th century or whatever. But the thing is like America still, our infant mortality rate is dog shit compared to like other first
It's
world
dog
countries.
shit compared to Cuba.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Cuba kicks our ass.
He goes, we live in an era in which the vast majority of the American population lives in climate-controlled spaces with plenty of food, a car, and at least one television.
And there's no way any of that will ever end.
We can speak with each other across thousands of miles instantaneously, find and collate information with a touch of a few keys, send money seamlessly whirring around the
On
globe.
the information superhighway.
Buy products manufactured in dozens of different places for cents on the dollars without leaving our homes.
It's like a 50s educational
Yeah, and
video.
he's going like yeah, exactly.
It's a film strip.
I'm Troy McClure.
Look at America's vast agricultural yields. Beep. It's fields of barley. Beep. Wheat. Beep. Millet.
And then he goes on to say, there are no restrictions barring particular races or genders from particular jobs. No governmental rules designed to privilege one particular biological or religious in-group at the expense of any other out-group.
What's a biological group?
Oh, we know what it means.
Okay.
But I like to say, like, everything's so good in America because, we have these freedoms that, like, there are no laws barring the practice of religion or certain people from holding certain kind of jobs. Unlike what me, Ben Shapiro, has been trying to accomplish in my entire political career, either National Review or Breitbart, is setting up precisely those religious tests for employment or holding office. I mean, there is a good chunk of the
let's do this one
GOP
more
base right
time.
now that literally thinks that there's like a law that can be enforced that's like, if you're a Muslim, like you can't hold office in America.
Yeah, no, there's some fucking copy pasta boomer meme going around about how there's some law in the books from the 50s that could be invoked to just kick Ilhan Omar out of Congress and then maybe deport her.
Now,
And they're
dude,
like, activate the dang 1954 alien laws.
I spent a lot of time researching the law, and during the space race, it was called the Moon Act, and we could not have any persons or individual style humans who worship the moon, as it were. And Islamically, they worship the Quran, which is a lunar object. The Quran was cast down by the demon god Muhammad from lunar scenarios to tactically ascertain a Kaaba-style cube here on Earth that connects with Muhammad and Allah, the moon prince, as it were. And Ilhan Omar, she will pray to this moon god every day. And due to the stipulations of the 1953 Moon Act, she will be rejected and ejected back to her lunar home.
Felix, as you're well aware, one of the first films, one of the first major silent films, is about our war on the Muslimic moon god.
The French were very ahead of the times.
They have always had a problem with that.
The spirit of Charles Martel was alive in that rocket that crashed into Allah's lunar Muslimic eye.
So
He could not see all the infidels that one day, but of course he repaired it using Islamic magics.
So this is I want to point out one of the we were aware of the Ben Shapiro's style when he's writing fiction, which is to just reuse cliches
Oh, God,
in the
yeah.
most
Bears of men everywhere.
mind-numbing way possible. and then like describe the ghetto style kid wearing a Bart Simpson t-shirt.
Homer
that says,
Simpson t-shirt.
Kiss my ass, buddy. And
Homer Simpson t-shirt.
Oh, wait, Homer.
It's a Homer Simpson t-shirt.
He looked at it.
I have a Duffman t-shirt. I have Desert Storm Bart.
Of course.
I have an Italian. I have never.
Never
I don't
seen
have
a Homer
Homer
t-shirt
Simpson
ever.
I collect bootleg Barts,
Yeah.
and I don't own.
It's not a thing, dude.
He looked at his beeper. What's up? The Budweiser commercial. Remember that? It said.
So that's his style of writing fiction. His style of writing what is like supposed to be a very serious nonfiction book that is about the big ideas of Western culture. What he does is he'll say something like, okay, here, conspiracies have replaced reason and subjective perceptions have replaced objective observation. Facts have been buried to make way for our feelings. A society of essential oils.
I hate those feelings so much.
A society of essential oils and self-esteem has
What?
replaced the society of logic. That is his attempt to be like.
Those are for the God-shaped hole. You need oil.
You got to lube up that hole with
Pithy
essential oils.
That's his attempt to like craft an interesting sentence or idea. And then he'll end a paragraph like that, and then what he does is every time over and over again spends the next page or so just dryly citing statistics in the most boring way. He's like, to prove my point, what I just said. Did you know just 43% of voters had a favorable opinion of Hillary Clinton, and 38% of voters had a favorable opinion? And then literally for another page, in July 2007, Pew Research found 47% of just reciting statistics like this,
yeah.
like padding it out, like
this
anything
is a
on
bad
fucking poll
student's
numbers?
excuse.
Yeah, exactly. This is the way, if you're a bad writer in college, this is how you pad out an essay.
I remember, by the way, like moving to New York and being like very sort of intimidated by everyone and how much they had read. And my friend Jen Pan, God love her, gave me the best advice ever because she went to read and she was like, Amber, the one thing you need to go into this knowing.
Oh no, it's not her.
Everyone's lying about having done the reading. So if you read just a little bit, you will have read more than all of the people that went to these Ivy League schools.
It's weird.
And he is that Harvard guy that lies about doing the reading. He's literally, again, this is a high school student's term paper trick.
No, and also, how are you going to hang any argument on unaggregated poll results? Like, these are literally individual polls of and not even of binary choices, of sentiment.
Yeah. Approval.
That just shows, you're just
Approval
filling things out. And it's like, this looks real.
80% of Americans said America was more divided today than ever.
Says who?
Ever. I don't know. There are citations here for it.
No,
I'm sure
but one poll is never anything other than a transient snapshot.
And again,
you cannot use it to make any kind of long,
polls and holes.
deep argument.
With Ben Shapiro.
And that, like I said, all these sightings of Gallup polls goes on for 2 pages. And then he gets back to the point he's trying to make. He says, brutal division has infused every aspect of our social fabric. We can't watch a football game together without debating the merits of protesting during the national anthem.
We literally can't.
Or watch a television show without falling into debates over representation of women, or go to church without arguing over our vote. We fight harder and more viciously. We fight harder and more viciously over smaller and smaller matters. The more frivolous the topic, the harsher the battles. What in the world happened? And then he goes, there are some trendy answers. Some blame our current political and social disintegration on heightened economic divides. And he dismisses that right off the bat by saying, they say too many Americans feel left behind by the new globalized economy, and that either mild protectionism or redistributionism will heal those ills. They argue that the 1% have outpaced the 99%, that urbanites have outpaced rural Americans, that white-collar jobs have outpaced blue-collar jobs. And then he says, income mobility hasn't changed significantly in the United States since the 1970s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
it's stultified. You fucking asshole. That's when it all went to shit.
Is it like, since the 1970s, the wages of the American worker has remained totally stagnant in 4 decades.
Flatline for 40. And there's been an accompanying 40 years of increased efficiency.
Yeah, no huge upsets.
That's insane.
And Matt, you'll like this. The next paragraph, he says...
productivity.
Exactly. Productivity has risen as wages have remained stagnant for 4 decades.
Theft.
And Matt, you'll love this. He goes, the Great Depression didn't tear us apart the way we're torn apart today, and our economy has indeed grown steadily since 2009. maybe one of the reasons it didn't tear us apart is because
great fucking New Deal. You douchebag.
Yeah, exactly. Because we, of like the WPA or exactly.
Because we addressed the fucking thing instead of just letting the canker just grow unattended. Fucking gangrene to set in.
No, I think it's because we filled our hole.
We emptied our hole.
Everyone in the Tennessee Valley got their holes filled up real good.
Without compensation. It wasn't fair.
Yeah, they did get
and then he talks about.
My family's still mad about that.
He talks about race, blah blah blah. Which by talking about race, he spends about 2 pages just block quoting Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Of course.
He wrote this at 3 a.m. right before it was due.
Oh yeah, totally.
And he goes, in truth, we're more racially equal than ever before in our history. More equal than any other society in human history.
And
then he goes on with the stats. In 1958, just 4% of Americans approved of black-white intermarriage. In 2003, that statistic was 87%.
That's still a lot of people who don't approve of interracial relationships.
87% approved.
I know, that's still a lot who don't.
And then, he says, like, it can't possibly be race because we've solved those racial problems.
I mean, like, I think he would find it more convenient to say that it was race, though, because, like...
No, because he's not going to fight the race war. He's determined to not actually say the quiet part loud.
Right.
He's going to keep it neutral, and like that. That's his whole effort, and that's why he's been superseded by the real, stem winding white populace, because they're willing to do that. And he will not cross the Rubicon, which means him having to make up all this bullshit.
Incredible.
Like
he won't cross the Rubicon now, but like we all know, like he's had numerous comments about like Trayvon Martin would be alive today if he wasn't a thug.
He gets as close as he can to the end, but he's determined that he's not going to cross it. For now, he could honestly just decide, fuck it.
It would age him, and his whole thing is that he was like a wunderkind.
Yeah.
He still thinks of himself as a 35-year-old child prodigy.
Oh no, totally, little violin boy.
And then he goes, okay, a third popular argument suggests our national disintegration suggests technology is the culprit. Social media, we hear, is dividing us more than a...
People said that, why don't they call it a dumb phone?
And he goes on to dismiss that as well. And he goes, finally, there's the most basic argument of all. For whatever reason, human nature has kicked back in. We're naturally tribal, naturally possessive, naturally angry. For a while, we suppressed those instincts. We called it the Enlightenment. Jonah Goldberg, in his masterful Suicide of the West, calls that overthrow of human instinct the miracle.
Yeah, that's always good. Your theory should always depend on a literal miracle that you even call that. That's always a good sign that you've got a really persuasive model.
Saves us from like an ultimately hostile human nature that we're mean, hateful creatures.
Yeah, so that you turn human history into just this fucking fairy tale. I mean, it's the opposite of dialectics. It's the opposite of materialism. It just says this is just a fairy tale battle between good and evil.
You know what it is? It's teleology.
Yeah, and it's just nothing but Deus ex machina after Deus ex machina. It's just you're showing it. You're circling the remainder and saying, "Look, I have not solved this fucking equation," and you're just basically daring somebody to point it out.
He says, this book argues that Western civilization, including our This book argues that Western civilization, including our modern notions of values and reason and science, was built on deep foundations. And this book argues that we're tossing away what's best about our civilization because we've forgotten that those foundations even exist. So where did this book come from? It came from my sense, widely reflected,
the Holy Sword,
that we're tearing each other apart.
Yeah, Lisa!
That realization hit me on a precise date, February 25th, 2016. Late in 2015, I'd started a speaking tour on college campuses.
Oh, God, of course.
We realized this when people were mean to him on college. The entire thesis of this book.
They're mean to me on college campuses, Mommy.
Was inspired by people being mean to him on college campuses.
Of course it was.
And he goes,
"Oh, I'm so tired."
I gave a speech to students on campus, viewed 500,000 times, and he includes his viewing stats on YouTube. Viewed 500,000 times online within a week.
Did you see his author bio?
What is it? What did it say?
It literally ends with, and is one of the most requested campus speakers in the country.
Oh, God.
And he said, I posited that all people of good heart want to fight racism, but that vague charges of institutional racism and white privilege obscured individual evil and slandered the country more broadly. I attended the speech without security. Everything went well despite an attempt to pull the fire alarm, and students lined up for a broad questions and answer based session too.
Everything went great. Someone tried to pull the fire alarm.
Well, here he goes. Just 3 months later came the rude awakening. I was scheduled to give a speech to the Young Americas Foundation group at California State University at Los Angeles. 2 weeks in advance of the speech, we began hearing rumblings about protests. The week before the speech, the president of the university announced the event had been canceled outright. I refused to accede to that clear breach of the First Amendment rights. My taxpayer dollars had gone to the California State University system, and I announced that I would show up anyway. My business partner, Jeremy Boring, I'm not kidding, that's Jeremy Boring.
I bet.
Insisted I bring a security team. But I was pretty skeptical. After all, I'd never needed security for any event. Yet God is my bodyguard. Fuck that shit. I lift 4 pounds. That's my fucking
How the
security.
fuck you miss a whole 100 shots?
Yeah. And he goes, after all, this wasn't Fallujah. This was a major college campus in the middle of my home city.
Yeah, we all know there's nothing dangerous that ever happens on college campuses.
Just to be safe, Jeremy hired security anyway. Thank God I listened. On the day of the scheduled event, our security team began hearing rumors that violence was in the offing. An hour before the event, the president of the university announced that he would back down and the police would protect the speech. As we approached the campus, we could see helicopters swirling overhead. Then he just goes on about like hundreds of student protesters had filled the hallway outside the auditorium. They had blocked off all the entrances. A few rioters were physically assaulting students who wanted to enter. The police set up a backdoor route, but could not only sneak students in 2 at a time. I put my ear to the auditorium door. It sounded like a zombie apocalypse outside.
Literally more likely to die in like a random college campus school shooting than a.
You're more likely to, you're more likely to injure yourself like slipping in the cafeteria.
Excuse me.
I mean, I think you can say yes. There is violence that befalls campuses. It tends to be from like
the
weird,
National Guard.
Yeah, the National Guard. And it tends to be like weird psychopaths that read too much Breitbart and bring a gun.
Excuse me. You are minimizing this. One of these hooligans held Ben at arm's length while Ben futilely tried to strike
one of
him.
my favorite.
Held his head.
Held his head back. Yes. That was
swinging his arms.
Yes. He was flailing his little fists.
Can we just get rid of colleges?
Yes, yes. Oh,
I'm so sick.
Yeah, not free college, abolish college.
Save the left part of the university.
I feel like a dam just burst. That's the solution to this.
I've been saying this for 2 years.
God.
We're getting
the one
nothing
thing
out
those
of them.
Maoists and Lachinois were correct about. They just didn't quite understand why.
No, like every point of college is just credentialism.
It's about
to get into the
reproducing the
upper class. It's just laundering privilege. Every one of these skills that we need can be accomplished otherwise than this absurd institution. Get the fuck rid of it.
It is a daycare.
Oh, it is a daycare. It is a propaganda mill.
Wait, what?
It's just an ideology factory. It sucks.
It produces Ben Shapiro's.
It creates class traitors, is what it does.
Yeah.
It manufactures a million
sucks
things in your head.
I mean,
to turn class solidarity into alienation and to
like
launder
Mark
the
said,
privilege of the wealthy.
the ruling class immediately finds representatives from the people it's suppressing and puts them into little positions, and that's how the representation argument still serves to reproduce capital.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
just
cool that
abolish
exists,
college.
so-
Come on, Bernie. Just
No
say
college.
Well,
schools out, motherfuckers.
I mean, like, what, so
schools been closed forever.
So, like, the thing that's funding
I'm gonna try this
college,
out, too.
you know, taxes in some cases, and in other cases, it's like, like Bob Iger will send his kids there, and so they can do what? So they can become influencers or work for his company. They can do that without college.
Yeah.
And then the other people.
Laura Loughlin's going to jail because she got to get into college, and she now just takes pictures of her fucking tummy tea on Instagram.
Aunt Becky.
First of all, college has ensnared Lori Loughlin, who
She was led astray.
She's very cute.
here's
Come on, let's
here's the things about Lori Loughlin. She's pretty and she's nice. And she was ensnared by this scam that has been going on for hundreds of years, known as college.
Just let your
and all
She just got caught. That was her.
yeah, and now like all we hear with college is Ben Shapiro tried to talk there and people threw a coconut at him or whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about anything that happens.
Nothing good has come out of the student movement since civil rights.
Yeah, and there's nothing that couldn't. It's not. There's no, and there are advantages in bringing people together and stuff, but I feel like they are outweighed by the disadvantages.
Well, specifically,
The
as
propagandistic-
campuses have become completely isolated from the larger communities.
Exactly.
It's entirely, it's like, well, we're going to keep you in a tiny little vacuum-sealed room.
And
And
it's
they're
like,
like, we're
oh,
doing politics.
you
And it's
bring
like,
people
no,
together-
you're renovating the country club.
Exactly. Like you bring people together,
Crazy,
but
that's
just to end up sterilizing their activism
Yeah.
by keeping it in that
Facing
fucking
inward.
totally inward-facing and non-threatening milieu.
Well, Felix, you say like you don't care if someone throws a coconut at Ben Shapiro's head.
I don't care. I think they should all do it. I think like there should be no speakers because it's just a scam for the speaker. They're
That's
just gonna
also
go
true.
there.
100%
They're just gonna
true.
go there and say shit they say in a YouTube video for $250,000.
Oh, God, yeah.
So I think like all the right wing students,
The
all the left wing
violence game.
students, they should just have like put on armor and joust each other. All of
It
them.
should be
So all of them.
medieval times.
Yeah.
You get your knight, and you're both on one side, and you're all rooting for your knight, and that's
You know
how
what?
we're
No,
gonna
you know
do
what,
it.
referee. There should be a referee.
Medieval times.
No, you to settle it. You settle it with the the Greek Week contest at the end of Revenge of the Nerds.
Okay.
Where they had to like do the belch,
And that-
they had
and
to
that
do
will
the
decide-
drunk trike, and they had to do the pageant.
And that will decide who gets to invite speakers for the next
Yes.
year. Noam Chomsky or Ben Shapiro.
Yes, that's how you do it. Clap your hands, everybody. Everybody, clap your hands.
Chris, edit in the music they do at Revenge of the
Slime great song. It's a great song.
Clap your hands, everybody.
Ew.
And
Oh, there's a
everybody
bubble in it.
clap your hand. We lambda, and Omega Moon. And we've come here on stage tonight to do a show for you.
So, like you say, Felix, you say you don't care if someone throws a coconut at Ben Shapiro, but I would submit
It's
this,
worst
in response to that.
Spaghetti boy.
After the
All's
speech
wrong.
was over, I wanted to go out and mingle with the protesters. At which point, my security team and the police pulled me backstage. If you go outside, one of the
Oh, I
officers
only kick
warned
things,
me,
that's it.
we can
I get
protect
it.
you from the first guy
I
who throws a
understand.
punch, and also
up
the
to
second
speed.
guy, but not the third guy.
Here's the thing, Mr. Shapino. I cannot
Kind of.
count that high. I am not blessed Hanukkah to count.
I don't have your skills.
I've never reached number 3.
I don't speak
So
Rosh
is the whole
Hashanah.
game really just kicking shit?
Mr. Shapiro, I'm afraid that when E Honda throws his Hadouken at you, we'll be able to block the first and the second strikes, but the third one will be beyond
like
our
Hotline
grasp.
Miami.
I mean,
but
like
you
this
kick.
is proof
things.
enough to get rid of college.
Yeah.
He can't
Yeah.
even.
Am
You're
I getting it
over
here?
It's outlived its
over
use.
2 punches thrown.
Yep.
That's
So,
enough.
What Ben is saying in the introduction of this book is that like his entire motivation for writing this incredibly tedious book that's been written a million times before is when he finally realized we're losing what made Western civilization great, but as he calls them, the violent rioters that made fun of him at college.
The urban thugs.
Yeah.
The hip hop thugs.
Here's my favorite part though. He goes, during the election cycle, I was highly critical of both candidates. As a conservative, I'd been a lifelong critic of Hillary Clinton, but I was also highly critical of Donald Trump. Thanks to my criticisms of Trump, and thanks to my very public break with Breitbart News, an outlet I believed had become a propaganda tool for the Trump campaign, I quickly found myself targeted by a new breed of radical. In late March, the exorable Milo Yiannopoulos penned a story at Breitbart openly praising the alt-right, including odes to racist cretins like Richard Spencer. I'm sorry, the difference in my mind between Richard Spencer and Ben Shapiro is nil.
Minuscule.
Ben likes Jews and Richard Spencer doesn't.
No, that's it.
Well, actually, no. I would argue
Actually,
this.
Richard Spencer likes Jews too.
Well, he
Yeah,
likes
yeah,
them
but
as long as they're in
likes them when they're
Israel.
over there.
No, but
Yeah.
that's the thing, is that they're the only real split in the right. The only real split in the right is what do you do with the Jews? One side of the right says Jews are fine, they're like white people as long as they have their own country and they should be there. The other side says no, they are a pathogen. They are bacteriological and they will destroy any society from within unless they're extirpated. That's the only real divide.
I gotta say, I disagree, mainly because I think their audience share is completely different. So Ben Shapiro is trying to get college Republican nerds, like the Republicans that don't scare
Please
him.
don't kick me.
And Richard Spencer
have the
was trying to get
sneakers.
these downwardly mobile lumpins, and that didn't work because they quickly realized that he is also a fancy lad.
And a college Republican nerd.
Yeah,
they, is
yeah,
it
exactly. A college Republican
Do I
nerd
get
that got a
powered-up
haircut
sneakers?
or whatever. So it's all about
I'm hoping there's
who
something
they are
else to the
trying to sort of triangulate their audience to.
I think they're aiming
should
for
I pay
different
for this?
segments of
Yeah.
the population.
Different
but,
market
But their
shares.
personality and beliefs are, I would need a jeweler's loop to tell the difference. So he goes, egging on his alt-right followers, cheering on their jolly trollery. Milo sent me a picture of a black baby on the day of my son's birth. that may. The point being that I was a cuck.
He is a cuck. That's his whole thing.
No, that's being a cuck is the degree to which you won't cross the fucking line. And he won't do it. He's defined his whole thing by not doing it. So he is the definitive cuck.
So here's where he gets into. He's reaching back into history to give you a history of thought.
Ooh, yes.
And now, okay, when I start reading these sections at home, if you have some sort of alcohol available to you, or maybe like a vape pen,
not only the heat is
or something, I want you to do a shot, take a hit, use your intoxicant of choice every time you hear the phrase Jerusalem and Athens. Okay,
I said, very popular cities also for Steve Bannon.
Let's go.
No difference.
We believe freedom is built upon the twin notions that God created every human in his image and that human beings are capable of investigating and exploring God's world. These notions were born in Jerusalem and Athens, respectively.
They have
this is such bad writing.
I don't like
those
it.
twin notions, those diamonds of spiritual genius, built our civilization and built us as individuals.
Diamonds of the gibberish.
Here he goes. If you believe that life is more than a materialistic pleasures and pain avoidance, you are a product of Jerusalem and Athens. Shot. If you believe that the government has no right to intrude upon the exercise of your individual will and that you are bound by moral duty to pursue virtue, you are a product of Jerusalem and Athens. If you believe that human beings are capable of bettering our world through the use of our reason and are bound by higher purpose to do so, you are a product of Jerusalem and Athens. Next paragraph, literally first sentence. Jerusalem and Athens built science. Jerusalem and Athens built science.
Let's ask the Chinese
and Arabs about that.
Anybody.
I am not, opposed to the idea of discussing Western canon again because of how it's.
No, I like it. We talked about Moby Dick last week.
Yeah, totally. But the idea that virtue is he literally said virtue is a Western concept.
Yeah, right.
That's literally psychotic.
Yeah.
That's actually psychotic.
Well, the thing is that, all right, take your own life. Think about how complicated it is to you. Think about trying to explain a week in your decision-making to a friend of yours or what happened in your life. It would be hard for you to even understand it, and you fucking live it.
I don't know why I do what I do.
Exactly. So think about how much harder it is to understand the incredible web and complexity of human history, the tapestry of events that made up our lives and why we're here. So when you think of how hard that is, I think you should keep that in mind anytime somebody wants to give you an explanation for how that world works with something like, well, once there were two enchanted cities, and the king lived there, and he was very wise. This is the most simplistic fairy tale, and it explicitly sells it to you as a fairy tale.
And here's the thing, like the classical world of Plato and Aristotle, they did contribute, and then when the Roman Empire was made into Christendom, basically, the philosophy of them underscored what would later go on to be Augustine and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But the Jerusalem and Athens thing, what they're doing here is he keeps coming back to the phrase Judeo-Christian values.
That made up thing we all love.
Again, cuck move to
cuck
move.
It's
the Jewish neocons are not cucks. They have found a way to
Prime Minister
be Jewish and a Republican in a way that does not cuck them. If you are a Buckley-esque Jew, you are the biggest cuck. You are literally the biggest cuck.
He's trying to be a wasp.
He's trying to be a wasp. He spends the entire fourth chapter just fawning over American Protestants.
Yep.
Oh, God.
He needs to watch A Gentleman's Agreement. Dude, Gregory Peck.
He literally says, the shortcomings of Judaism and, Catholicism to some degree are that they relied on structure and rather than just faith.
Yeah.
Rather than just the idea of just, religious ecstasy hitting you in the face.
Yeah.
It's a door.
He
said
picks the literal worst part.
Yeah, but he said that's the thing that made it spread fast. And the thing is, that doesn't tell you it's better. It just says it's more
gonorrhea spreads
viral.
fast.
Exactly, viral spreads. Syphilis spreads really fast. That doesn't make it good. Just because it was more effective at spreading the pathogen of Christianity.
But the point I want to make is he uses Jerusalem and Athens over and over again because he wants to harp on this. The Judeo-Christian, which as we've mentioned before on the show, is
he wants back in the country.
It's an idea that was invented out of whole cloth pretty much in the 1980s.
Oh, yeah.
To just do a patch on the software
Crime, I'm
update of
assuming.
evangelical Christians,
Yep.
so that they could like they could be like, oh, we love
State of
Israel,
Israel.
state of
Born-
Israel. Boop, and they're like, oh yeah, now we're the heirs to the Judeo-Christian
And
heritage
the funny part
values.
is now that's they don't need that anymore because now they're fully on board with we need them there for
People
the rapture.
forget,
We need
too,
them there
like,
for the end of the world.
there were like serious Catholic anti-Semites
Oh, big
in
time.
like up as like kind of into the
Westbrook
early
Pegler.
90s.
Oh, yeah,
like
Westbrook
and it was just
Pegler
fine.
and that
It's
shit.
very recent that we're like we have to
All four
tone
pairs.
that down.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, but they've moved the Overton window back, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
really shocked by it
Oh,
when
how-
it wasn't
they're
that
all
long
gonna
ago when you
Uh,
could just
James
be an
Burnham
open
was kinda
anti-Semite.
anti-Semitic.
So here you guys.
Classic video game opening.
Jerusalem and Athens
Yeah.
built science. That's one
Short.
sentence. The twin ideals of Judeo-Christian values and Greek natural law reasoning built human rights. They built prosperity,
Just gonna pull
peace,
out the
and
wall.
artistic beauty, which again heretofore did not exist in
No
anywhere in the
beauty
planet.
anywhere
Yeah.
else.
Jerusalem and
Finger
Athens
foot.
built America, ended
Snickers belong to the
slavery,
violence gang
defeated the
now.
Nazis and the communists, lifted billions from
Never
poverty, and
feel
gave
them on your
billions
face.
spiritual purpose. Okay, I'm going to go through those. The sort of foggy, like
They're
the
right.
mystification that's going on here with history, where he's like, it's all this unbroken chain leading to right now our most perfect of all worlds, which is based on Greek natural law. I'm sorry, all of that classic 5th century Athens shit that we all love so much. They love the hell out of slavery.
I mean,
That's
really
why
it's foundational to the whole
that's
project.
why they had all the free time
But
to fucking
also,
be, thinking about
just
caves
think
and
about
shit.
bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, like, we literally regressed from that anyway into Western society, into we innovated slavery into chattel slavery, which is literally worse than the
Oh,
way
way
you're talking about
We
slavery.
refined it, and it was by refining it that we were able to supercharge capitalism. And
Yeah,
capitalism,
and just accelerate through to developing the nation.
Capitalism
Yeah,
is
with
the
only your
nitro
feet.
booster
Oh,
in
so
the
I get
engine
guns.
of
It's not
slavery
just
is the nitro
taking
booster in
eggs.
the engine of capitalism. It
Oh, wait,
catalyzed
it's
it.
not.
It pushed in so much raw material and liquefied the markets to such a degree that it made capital accumulation so much faster, and it exacerbated technological innovation. It was the fuel in the fucking rocket sled of slavery. It made it possible.
Jerusalem and Athens drank were the foundations of the Magna Carta and
Love
the
it.
and the
Love that
Treaty
Magna
of
Carta.
Westphalia.
Oh, I love
They
it.
were the foundations of the Declaration of Independence.
Big fan of the Treaty of Westphalia.
He gets my dick so
I
hard, the
love
Treaty
it.
of Westphalia.
Abraham-
I prefer the Treaty of
Like a Zoom?
Windphalia, but what are you gonna do? Or
Abraham-
no.
Oh, I only have limited bullets.
Wait a minute. West. Yeah, win. Yeah. Win.
Oh,
Not
shit.
fail. Win. No.
Well,
This
now
is
you,
where
Oh, they have
we
guns too.
treaty.
Okay.
now you guys got to see how the sausage get made.
Yeah.
man.
Sometimes you have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Declaration of Independence. Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation.
This is a
and-
three-toke episode,
and
by the way.
Martin Luther King's letter
Of
from
course.
Birmingham jail.
So just everything
They keep
you
hitting,
barely remember
triangle.
from junior high history.
The
So,
open door.
in the previous sentence,
Yeah,
in the previous paragraph, he said Jerusalem and Athens defeated the Nazis.
Aw, damn.
In the next sentence, he says, in the next paragraph, he says
take hits.
civilizations that rejected Jerusalem and Athens shot.
Marx beat the Nazis.
And the tension between them have collapsed into dust. The USSR rejected Judeo-Christian values
And they
Greek
beat the
natural
Nazis.
law, substituting the values of the collective, and a new utopian vision of social justice. And they starved and slaughtered tens of millions of human beings. And like I said, also defeated the Nazis in World
Yeah.
War II. The
Like,
Nazis.
I don't understand. Like, he comes to these great thinkers. He does mention Marx. He completely doesn't understand Marx at all. But if you're going to attribute the wins of societies created by thinkers, then Marx beat the Nazis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he got those turnip
What's the point
farmers
of
to
this?
get their shit together.
Oh, they got their
Yeah.
shit together.
We are in the process of abandoning Judeo-Christian values
Oh,
and
no.
Greek natural law,
Oh, no.
favoring moral subjectivism and the rule of passion. The funny thing about Greek natural law is, like, natural
Without
law
throwing
is
it,
what's
like, what the
always
fuck?
cited by like weirdo Catholic
Annoying me.
reactionaries
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like as their justification for why sodomy is like always a sin and
Yeah.
wrong.
Ironically, though,
You know who also
the
invented
Greeks.
sodomy?
They love
Athens.
it. They love that shit. Their natural law did not. Their natural law was towels
Damn, I
optional.
thought I'd be able to smoke
I
it
think
too.
their natural law said that it was okay as long as you just held
3 out
their
of 10
thighs
game.
together.
Oh right, yeah, you had to
Yeah.
frottage them. You couldn't go in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, there,
It was-
he doesn't
yeah,
have
that
anything
was-
about that in this
Fine
book.
ways
that was
around it.
that was coined by the Greek philosopher
Okay.
Sisyphus.
But just think get this very small example
didn't
of how
kill
much is
anyone.
lost in his retelling of these things, and how
Yeah,
much
exactly,
he simplifies it into a cartoon that bears no relationship to reality.
And he goes, oh, and we
Yeah,
are
with only your
watching
feet.
our
Mhm.
civilization
Or you deal with the
collapse
gun guys.
into age-old tribalism, individualistic hedonism, and moral
gonna do it
subjectivism.
right now, though.
Make no mistake, we are still living off the prosperity of the world built by, what are those two cities again? Jerusalem and
baby.
Athens.
But see, this is perfect in that it totally exemplifies how it's a fairy tale, because
That's not gonna
given the way he describes the miracle of Athens and Jerusalem, that should be uninterrupted glory and improvement until the end time. It should be an unspoken string of development. Like, it's the perfect, it's the best system, therefore it's going to persist.
Well, why did we abandon it?
Exactly.
Oh my God,
and the
I
answer
saw
is evil wizards. And it is. It's just totally idealistic horseshit about, like, this evil wizard named Marx cast a spell, and this other evil wizard named Martin Luther came down,
Right.
and that those people bewitched people's minds into going back to their awful human.
And Matt,
ways.
And now we live under Toronto and Gainesville.
Yeah,
It's tragic. It's
Like, I'm
terrible
trying to
for
think about
society.
what you would my feet.
As you said about the wizards, the vast majority of this book is him taking his reader, who, again,
My
like
God, I am
Ben
so
Shapiro,
fucking-
as dumb as he is, I will give him credit for knowing how stupid his fans
Oh,
are.
yeah.
The respect he has for his fans
Oh,
is
yeah.
summed
Utter
up
contempt.
in the fact that he sells them caffeine pills for $70
Yeah, that's
a
it.
bottle.
If anybody is hawking survival seeds or miracle brain tonics to you, that means they don't give a shit about your intellect. In fact, they're betting on you being a dumbass because they wouldn't sell any.
So what
otherwise.
Ben Shapiro's fans are either like the most bullied kids in their schools, or like college sophomores who are all named Dylan, who like drink two natty shandies.
Damn
Or,
it.
Like, last night was savage.
That's exactly what it's like.
Just watch like Ben Shapiro
Fucking
owning
dance on me,
trans people
too.
cringe comp.
No, but Matt, you said like that. The magical cities gave us the winning formula that was winning for
We got
eternity.
the key that went into the magic rock.
and then the evil wizards like turned
Okay,
us
hold
away
on.
from it. The vast majority of this book, which thank dear Christ, I'm not going to read to you on the
Oh,
show.
no.
The vast majority of like the middle chapters of the entire book is him going
Control
through and giving you this high school freshman history of the Enlightenment and its major thinkers, and telling you which ones were good and which ones are bad.
Yeah.
And he's like, John Locke, good. Rousseau,
pick up
bad.
a gun?
And
Well,
the reason
he
they're
knows
good
that,
at
again, his readers, like, they just want the footnotes.
Yeah.
and the reason that one is good and the other's bad is one is liberal, the other's a conservative.
Yep.
But one is a liberal and conservative based entirely on subjective definitions of what liberal and conservative means in 21st
Oh
century
God,
America.
he is so historical. Just absolute contempt for any kind of historical context for anything. Everything is evaluated from 21st century
So I only have to throw-
superficial conservative array. Like that's it. You know. Oh yeah, it's awful.
The ties that bind us together are fraying. Those ties were forged through fire and water, reason and prayer.
Game of Thrones, baby. Tonight, I'm so fucking psyched. Gambo's gonna get that throne, baby. He's Gambo throne for a reason.
Forged through fire and water.
Forged through fire and water.
Reason and prayer. Again, he's a terrible writer. Just awful. The tension between Jerusalem and Athens, Drink, is real. By removing the tension by abandoning either Jerusalem or Athens, Drink,
Oh, God.
collapses
This is
the
even supposed to make
bridge
sense.
built between the two. So we say there's Jerusalem and Athens.
Well,
but
what does
they're in
that do?
tension. And what Western civilization did was build the bridge. But now the bridge is rickety.
See, this
and
is
it's like,
this is like dialectics. If you have a head injury, because that is a dialectical reasoning that he's doing, but it's totally ideal. It's totally idealistic. It doesn't bear any relationship to material conditions.
Now there are two cities in the world. So you got South Bend, that's where Notre Dame is, and you got Des Moines. Now my brother lives in South Bend, and we haven't talked in a while, but in Des Moines, there's a Culver's that's open till 12, but they're very far away, and when the interstate is crowded, that's when things get rough. This is just a boring guy talking about geography. This is just
boring, confused guy.
This sucks, man.
This is nothing.
To quote Hannibal
this is
Buress.
absolutely nothing.
He can't even really make up his mind about anything. Like, he has like these semi-positive but conflicted views of like the way Christianity developed and its role in society. He wrote a book so that dumb people can feel smart because they can refer to Hume.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. As Hobbes would say.
How many pages did he stretch out of this?
not that long. I don't.
It's not
think.
that long.
He stretched the
No,
whole.
he's not. He's not going to
He
give
took
you a
that
tome.
whole and he stretched
let
it.
me check
I
here.
wouldn't be surprised if it's less than
It's
300
288
pages.
pages.
That's
Yeah.
still 300 pages.
That's still amazing. It's long for what he has. Which
Oh,
is
it's long for
nothing.
what he has, but in terms of his pretensions, it's hilarious. 'Cause
Well,
that's a booklet.
there are wide margins.
That's a booklet for dullards.
He widened the
That's
margins.
a thing to read on the crapper. And then
Also-
you come out going, that was quite a Lockean dump I took.
Sorry, what? Like, just 2 quick points I want to make. Like, he says that line, and it's on the jacket copy to his book. Civilizations that rejected Jerusalem and Athens have collapsed into dust. Again, where does China or India fit into this equation?
Yeah, China had a hell of a glow up.
They've had a pretty good run.
Yeah, even by his own metrics.
And like, forget the communist
Be careful who
revolution.
you're mean to in high school.
Yeah.
But like, China has existed
Well,
almost
that's
in
because
like
there's no. These things are. What he's done is he's taken all the good things that people like and said these are exemplified by a cast of characters who embody their good qualities. All the bad things are embodied in these people who are a cast of characters who embody their bad qualities. And then they just have it's like it's literally recreating Olympian fucking mythology because now they're fighting on Mount Olympus. For the soul of humanity.
See,
and we
I
have nothing to
thought-
say about it.
I thought it was more like the animatronic Hall of Presidents.
Also that, it's all you always have
Like
to have
you
an array
just,
of
you
names.
hear a little, and they kind of like move mechanically, and you come out of being like, was that educational?
Yeah.
I am Jeremy Bentham, the
Yes.
utilitarian philosopher.
The greatest good
for the greatest number of people.
Yeah, and that's what this is in book.
I haven't.
40
I don't know if he
seconds.
references
Like, would that
Bentham
just
in
be,
this
like,
book
running
or where he
through it
falls
to
on
the-
him,
He
but
does.
I'm going to guess he's
He
against
does.
Bentham.
I think
No.
he like puts it in the same paragraph with like Thomas Aquinas or something.
Yeah, and
like
this
it's just he's just name dropping.
He has
Like your
definitely gotta
worst
be
friend who is
anti-Bentham,
like,
though.
yeah, yesterday I was talking to my friend Natasha Leone. It's like your worst.
Because
fucking friend.
utilitarianism is like one of their bête noirs.
Yeah.
That's one of the evil spirits is
So,
utilitarianism.
and like the second point I want to make, aside from
I'm
the fact
feeling-
that he glosses over like vast swaths of human history that don't conform to the Jerusalem Athens
Didn't see the fire
all this,
theorem.
all this ghost stuff, all these spirits he's invoking, I'm feeling like Sterner right now.
The other thing is like he keeps saying that like we're so that like the Enlightenment, as in the masterful genius words of Jonah fucking Goldberg, was this like miracle where like just it's like the key turned in everyone's minds. They're like,
Eureka!
oh, like we will no longer be tribalistic and governed by our like
The
baser
sum of the
instincts.
square root of the
and-
isosceles triangle is equal to the freedom of the remaining sides.
It should, I'm sure, as it will not come as any great shock to any of you listening to this show. Ben Shapiro is intensely driven by tribalistic loyalties and racial hatreds.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we all know his famous comment that Jews build things where Arabs enjoy living in sewage.
They
like
enjoy
dogs.
living in sewage.
They enjoy living in sewage.
They love it.
They're not human beings.
Search any of his comments on any of the teenage black kids murdered
Oh,
by the
God,
police, and you will see some
Oh my
fairly
God.
obvious and base tribalism
Yep.
beginning to express itself. I would say a product of maybe unenlightenment thinking.
Yeah, but that's because the bad guys in his teleology are others, racial others, religious others, cultural others that like are outside of his perfect little world and are trying to undermine it. For people on the left, like the things fucking up places are the actual people who benefit from the way things are. Those are the bad guys. Those are the nemesis. That's the cause of the problem. That's the person that you have to deal with. Is the person
this is set up if you
material
stray
benefit
if they
is
don't-
things
they
staying
get
as
bad.
bad as they are and getting worse.
You can't be
And
sure
that's
about
the
that.
difference between the left and right in terms of how you view, like, what the cause of social decay and
Or,
problems are.
Like in
And-
Last of Us,
and
where if you run
we
straight up,
say,
they're just
no,
like
it's
way
people
better, like
benefiting
way
from
more
it,
accurate.
not the people in most cases who have the least amount of actual power in the society. Those are the people who he thinks are most responsible for its decline.
So I'm not going to do all of chapter 1, but this is the one I read, and it's called The Pursuit of Happiness. And it's all
Okay.
about what makes people happy. And his answer to that question is moral purpose that is decided by a belief in God.
Yeah.
The Judeo-Christian God
Yep.
specifically.
Getting your hole filled makes you happy.
You got to fill the hole daily.
So, and he goes, chapter 1 begins, "Are you happy?" It's a question my wife asked me one day a few years ago, probably because I was, as per usual, skulking around like a miserable little cunt with a dumb look on my face.
Crying after
Crying
everyone
and
in the
bitching
called
and
me
whining
cock.
constantly.
Take that, intolerant left.
He goes, "We were going through a stressful period. My wife is a doctor, and she was working
Oh, God,
brutal
really, Ben?
hours.
You'd never mention it.
Our youngest child, Gabriel, That's like Ashley Schaefer in fucking Eastbound and Down. Gabriel, my boy Gabriel, he walked in on me and my wife. I said, "You watch, boy." Our youngest child, Gabriel, was waking up at all hours of the night. Our eldest, Leah, was going through a stretch in which she burst into tears at the tiniest provocation. Are you sure that wasn't your wife, Ben?
Yeah, seriously.
And work was trying to. My business partners and I were working to get our website, The Daily Wire, functioning at top level. Read into that. Get some bizarre, dark money billionaire to underwrite our blogging and memeing,
exactly.
so that I can cash a fat check.
Yeah,
by
after
doing
my
YouTube
my
videos.
tough weekend in the hot tub with Sheldon Adelson.
Oh God, no! I'm just
Can you
imagining
imagine?
that. Felix, do you like thinking about
What are
that?
the stars worth? I don't know you.
I'm imagining.
You know
there's sort
how
of
like soup gets a skin on the top?
Oh yeah, I was thinking about how there's got to be.
I'm
Like
imagining
a
there's like it's Sheldon Adelson, so it's like a giant hot tub,
Yeah.
but there's sort of like a ramp / water slide that they pull up his little motor scooter and then sort of dump him into it. It's sort of like
a lobster,
like a turkey, just like
Just
slides
like
into
a lobster, the air escaping from his
Oh,
hole.
yeah.
It's like a screaming noise.
Yes. Oh God. He looks like Zoidberg without his shell.
I mean, I'm not even going to say, because that's the dream, is to share the hot tub with Sheldon Adelson.
Oh, God.
I just want to lick the residue out of the hot tub after they drain it.
Another connection here. Steve Bannon, well-known hot tub pimp
And murderer, most
yeah,
likely.
He dissolved the body in a hot tub in a rental property.
He did a Walter White on someone's rental property. There's no other explanation. Allegedly.
He fucked it up, though. Like everything, instead of being like, I'm Heisenberg, he was like, I am Dr. Astor.
So he goes on to talk a lot about
Panic
the pursuit of
strawberry?
happiness.
Go-
and the phrase,
okay, first of all,
the
that
pursuit of
text is
happiness,
like straight up like I have like a photo editing.
The pursuit of
like
happiness.
a really shitty Chinese
Government
one that I
can
use on my
give
phone.
you happiness through
Big memes, and that's like the
healthcare,
quality.
basic standard of living.
Basic fundamental
but
social
you would be
order.
wrong. The thing I want to point out
Oppressive
again in this chapter and how utterly lazy and ahistorical he is in this invocation that progress cannot
They should've
exist
just gone,
without
like, all out and just
virtue,
said,
and
like,
virtue
Agent
cannot
Orange.
exist without our
That war crime
inherent
water
moral
and all that
reasoning,
a
which
lot.
cannot exist without the Judeo-Christian, the God of
Yep,
Abraham.
Of course.
Right? He glosses over entirely in like sucking off the founding fathers for creating the perfect document and perfect system of government.
Like
They were
Pizza
by
Hut,
and
like, what's
large
the one from Invader
deists
Zim?
who rejected Orthodox Christianity explicitly.
Yeah.
He talks about he goes on and on about Jefferson. He's like, this is why Jefferson knew we weren't
can't remember what animal it was.
happiness.
It's like
but
a-
again, mentions nothing about Jefferson. Literally
can't remember.
was so full of himself that he did his own remix to the Bible.
He did. He cut out the miracles. He cut out the miracles of the Bible.
And it was just the moral teachings of Jesus
Yep.
of Nazareth is what he called
Get
it.
all that hogwash out of there. That is an alpha. That is definitely a pimp move. Gotta admit it.
In this
That is literally the equivalent of like translating the Bible into Klingon.
Or it's like that guy
So
who
jealous.
made the
Such a nerd
return the Last Jedi without any women in it. That's the modern equivalent.
The Violence Gangs initiative.
And so this one highlighted. This is like a subhead to the chapter. Happiness is
can't
moral
stab it
purpose.
without someone
Pleasure can
getting
be gained
stabbed.
from a variety of activities.
Like
Golf.
filling your hole.
Well, pleasure can be gained from a
had
variety
all
of
day.
Getting that
activities.
nut.
Like the
Golf,
forget their
fishing,
names from
playing with your children, sex. I would
Getting that
reverse
nut.
the order. I love that,
Yeah.
like in his brain. Like here are the 5 things that can make you happy. Golf. I'm sorry, if golf makes you happy,
Family?
your
No,
brain.
I
And
mean,
if
You're
it's number
so
one on the
psychopath.
list,
First
you're a
fuck.
psycho.
Fishing.
Oh my God, he's never
never been fishing in his
Fuck
life.
off.
No.
He would be the fucking bait.
First of all, only goys fish. We know
Except
this.
for Felix.
It's law.
I've caught a fish. I'm 1 for 1 in all
He's
my
the
fishing
goyest
attempts.
too, though. We know.
Yes, yeah, he's
Yeah,
a Midwestern boy.
I literally have a
practice it.
100% success rate for fishing. I've never gone
It's
fishing
like your
and
slot
not caught-
machine system. You're like, I got a system for this.
No,
You're
no,
like, "Shut up, Felix."
no. The slot machine system, that's strategy and
Great
reaction times, mathematics. Whereas the fishing, that's
Oh,
just
and
all
they
luck and
look-
bullshit.
they're
No one's
very-
good at fishing. You're just
Basically
lucky.
ice.
You can
Oh,
be
wait.
good
Oh,
at slots,
perfect.
though.
Okay.
So sex is at the bottom of his list.
Yeah.
Not quite as fun as golf.
Yeah, that is sketch is hooking an angler. Oh, I got a trout today.
And he goes, amoral activities can bring us pleasure. That temporary high.
Like golf.
That feeling of
they're
forgetting our
romantic.
cares. Yeah, Golf is also deeply amoral. I mean, think about the water that it takes to fucking
golf
use
is not even
No,
immoral.
this
It's
reminds
criminal.
me
It's a
of-
criminal.
Well, first of all,
waste of
it looks like,
land.
Golf is like
and resources.
if we can do for a 2-for-1,
But it's also- it's
that's
like-
the grand compromise. Conservatives want to get rid of college, as do I.
Yes.
We have to get rid of golf
Get rid of
too.
golf.
Golf and college. If we get rid of golf and
That's
college,
a grand bargain.
we might.
Yeah.
We might have like
30% of our like economic and class problems.
Okay.
solved.
if we got rid of both of those, there might be like 3 more generations of humanity. Honestly.
Yeah, we could honestly stretch it out a little bit further.
This is the new. This is the new bargain. Jerusalem and Athens. That's over. Now we're making the grand bargain between Berkeley and Orlando, Florida.
Yep.
Yeah.
Golf and college.
Golf and college.
Get rid
We're
of
done
them.
with them.
Crap.
Done.
Crap.
No more of either of that bullshit.
I don't see why rich people can't just
Failed,
play
like, a between
with tech
sequence.
decks,
Yeah.
play video games,
Foosball.
have sex with their
No.
friends.
The
keep it
ballerest
analog,
thing Chavez ever
they
did
can-
was
I'm just
take over
practicing
the
for
fucking
when-
golf courses. and turn
Yeah,
them into
that was
public housing.
definitely
That was dope.
The amoral activities can give us that temporary high. He's talking about chewing and
Getting off that lounge.
the feeling of forgetting our cares. However, that pleasure
No
is never
criminal
enough.
record.
Lasting happiness can only be achieved through cultivation of soul
Man
and
of
mind, which
Steel.
presumably he means watching PragerU videos.
yep.
Or
Versus
actually, if he's being
goods
honest, watching
taker.
my YouTube videos, me, Ben
Yes.
Shapiro.
Watch me own
Well, how
trans
does-
people.
How does Ben Shapiro like do either? Is it just like when he plays violin with his dad?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing.
That's literally what he
What's
means. That
he
sucks,
goes,
dude.
He goes around the country just grimly triggering the libs. Is that a
Yeah.
fulfilled person?
Yeah, he just means like he just.
Seems
That's not a happy person.
All right, all
also, he like operates a website while his wife is a doctor,
Yeah,
which he brings up a lot, but I think with some shame.
all he does
You
is
could
like
cultivate your inner fucking
I'm all
garden
for
if you didn't
extortion.
have
This
all
is
this
ridiculous.
hole to fill with all this bullshit.
Luckily, I'm
all he does.
not lifting
All he does is go to like whatever California, like go to Pomona or whatever,
Yeah.
and like find some like
How are you gonna-
19-year-old who's on like
Okay,
3
okay,
different
okay.
types of benzodiazepines, who can like barely
your
make
mother,
it through the
you idiot.
question while like 12 Daily Wire cameras are on her, and just demolish her with logic.
Yep.
Just absolutely demolish her. That sucks, dude. You're not cultivating shit.
You cultivate nothing.
You're
my
finding
ass,
the
dude.
weakest people who are literally going to see you to be triggered.
You're just abusing people. You're abusing fragile people. It's like it's intellectual bum fights.
It's
I'm
literally
not
just
sure
the
about
guy who took a month worth of
Vincent
karate
Gall.
classes,
Yeah.
beating up everyone in his hometown.
Yeah, it's some
It
Danny
sucks,
McBride
man.
shit.
Stop it.
Does he even have a criminal record?
He goes on a
Oh
bit.
God, a movie about Danny McBride triggering libs on
I
college
agree.
campuses.
Oh,
being,
that's
being
good.
like a grifter
Shit.
style, like a
The government
bad
doesn't
guy.
like for
Oh
me
my
to-
God.
That's pretty good.
So, except it would probably have to be played by Walton Goggins instead of David.
Well,
He could be a
sorry.
competing
Yeah.
I'm apologizing.
different guy
So-
on the scene.
For Pete.
That's actually a good idea.
and
I'm
then
writing that
and
down.
then they become friends.
Of course. Oh, I'm
So
writing that
he goes
down.
on to talk about like how the Bible's vision of happiness is. We just surprised you to know that God wants you to be happy, but that doesn't mean just chewing or having sex or
right.
doing anything fun. And he
Go to
goes-
God
temple.
mentions nothing
And he-
about chewing.
And he goes, if this, that's where you're wrong, Amber. If you read the Bible closely, there are many coded references. He goes, if all this sounds like a more restrictive version of happiness than we're used to, that's because it is. Happiness isn't rolling around in the mud at Woodstock, nor
It's
is
rocking the fuck out at Woodstock
You
'99.
are the oldest young man in the world.
then he goes-
Making a Woodstock reference.
And then he
These
goes-
are presumably college students reading this. You
And-
can't even say
Again,
Woodstock '99.
Still, like
And he
the
goes-
child prodigy just means you're stunted at an age that you
We're
never
surrounded
were.
by your
Yeah,
odd
like-
uncle, like your aunt sitting around smoking, going, "Oh my God, look at him." Their references are your
like
references. for
Ben is
life.
like in his he's like 70 years old because he says like at Woodstock he could have just said like a weekend at Coachella
Yeah.
on Molly or something, but he goes, nor is it a nice golf game after a rough week of work. These are like the two poles in his mind. These are like
balls of human behavior.
the freaked out hippies, man. They're rolling around in the mud at Woodstock, and then he's like, the square upright businessman goes plays a golf after a hard week in the office.
That's true. Oh, fuck, that's so true. It's like when he closes his eyes, heaven is like an Enzyte commercial. And hell is, it's like the footage from Martin Scorsese's Woodstock. Do not eat the brown acid. Whoa, man.
But he's telling you, he's mature enough to tell you, hey, golf guy, hey, wavy gravy, these things may feel good, but that's actually not real important happiness and moral meaning in your life.
This is his attempt to turn the chair around and sit in it
Yeah.
wrong way.
Yeah.
But
Have you
like
heard
he
of
just
a guy-
trips over his
Have
like
you ever heard of a
loafers.
guy named JC, Judeo-Christian?
Yeah, you may think it's cool to, golf for 30 years and collapse of cardiac arrest on the green while all your friends named Harold just look at your body and a golf cart runs over your head. That may be cool to you. Or it may be cool. It may be cool to smoke 7 bowls out of a bong and inject acid while the monkeys are playing. But you know what's actually cool? To find the nearest 19-year-old who's already crying and destroy them.
Oh my god!
So he goes,
Oh,
happy
that is a good point. They are already crying.
Yeah, they
Before
literally-
he even says it, he finds the crying one.
I've watched
It's
those.
shooting crying fish in a barrel.
Yep, I've watched those videos, like the Ben Shapiro most savage moment videos, and like literally they're already like shaking, like they come up to the mic and they're like, Mr. Shapiro, yeah, like, come on, man.
Whereas, like again, like
Yeah,
my
they just got triggered by an Arby's commercial.
If Ben
and then they,
Shapiro
like, stumble
approaches
into the
you
room.
to own you or debate you, like it's not difficult. Just
Yeah.
say like, fuck you, little man, and just ruffle his
Yeah,
hair.
ruffle his hair.
Or just be like,
oh, look at the little fella.
This is a rhetorical technique.
Oh, is that okay? Is that a microphone?
Oh, look at you, little guy.
Hey,
Is it a
hey,
rhetorical
how about you lick
technique
my asshole?
that I heard of, from Buckley, that is just called giving someone a wedgie that you could get away with it. What would he do?
Oh, you could.
What would he
wedgie him.
do?
You could fucking hang him on a doorknob.
Yeah,
You do dangling.
yeah, kicking his little feet,
Kicking his little feet in the
kicking
air.
at the clouds.
So he
Oh,
says,
little guy.
happiness is not it's not a golf game and it's not Woodstock. It's the pursuit of purpose in our lives.
Oh, damn.
If we have lived with moral purpose, even death becomes less painful. Here's one of my favorite parts. When Washington Post columnist Charles Krauthammer knew that his death was imminent, I'm just smiling a
This
little to
one already
myself,
talked.
thinking back on
That's
the
right,
moment,
that baby's dead.
the moment in
It's
which his
prime minister
conscious
more and
brain
more.
knew that his own
I
death
can't
was
trust.
imminent. Wait,
You're
hold on a second.
so
Yeah, like
Let me
that
just say.
politician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is like an insult to Victor Frankl.
Oh yeah.
This
He
is
ma- he
such
name
an-
checks
Dude, he
Frankl.
name checks Victor Frankl.
This is such an
I wish that
assault
this
on
weren't
Victor
like, just
Frankl.
like
Like
effective
the
satire.
guy
It's not
who's
really.
a
It's not
fucking-
intentionally.
who like lived through
We
the
clearly are doing
Holocaust
that.
and just
Like,
basically
just-
invented this amazing new way
Yeah, I
of
like the way
thinking
he's
and wrote
doing,
the
like, criminal
seminal
shit, and
work.
he doesn't give a
And
shit.
just Ben Shapiro's like, yeah, I go
that's really
to
cool.
I go to college campuses
I
and
like how
find
none of
people
it's
with
gonna
badly
benefit
dyed
me.
hair and argue with them. I'm the same
That's
as you.
awesome.
Like it just
But he goes,
very.
Step on me harder.
It's just very. It's hurtful to me.
More than anything, you love to see it.
well,
I do love to see it.
He wrote a
Sorry,
letter
wait.
in anticipation of his passing. Here's what
No.
that great souled man wrote.
How much shit could I have been
I
breaking this
believe
whole
that the
time?
pursuit of truth and right ideas through honest debate and rigorous argument is a noble
here.
undertaking.
What?
I leave this life with no regrets.
Wow.
Like,
Hold on a minute.
Well,
One regret.
wait,
One regret. One regret.
Don't dive in that
Don't
swimming
dive
pool.
in the pool. I mean, he has to
See,
regret
I was
that.
gonna say like if Charles Krauthammer did indeed lead a moral life.
close off.
Uh, racked with unbearable guilt about
Yeah.
the millions of people he helped kill and the insane wars that he started for moral and just reasons.
You heard him though.
In
No
his-
regrets.
In his
No
dog,
regrets.
in his
You
dog
were
shit,
policing rings or whatever.
Davros, Doctor Who style villain.
Yeah. No, he's the closest thing in the op-ed world we had to Dr. fucking Strangelove. I mean, he was just this perverse figure of you worship death like a lot of these guys.
Felix, you brought up Viktor Frankl. Literally the next page. As Austrian psychiatrist Viktor Frankl
There he
wrote
is.
in his
There's the
stirring
guy.
memoir about surviving the Holocaust, Man's Search for Meaning, woe to him who saw no more sense in his life, no aim, no purpose, and therefore no point in carrying on.
Viktor Frankl would just euthanize you.
Frankel's
Like,
feeling.
if he talked to you and you told him, you're like, golf is one way to live your life. Another way to live your life is to play violin with your dad. Frankl would just he would just furrow his brow and look at his notes and just write, euthanize immediately. He's not getting better. He's never finding purpose.
Sometimes death is kinder.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a chapter about like the meaning of life, and then there's a guy who wrote a book, literally, Man's Search for Meaning. I mean, he's just running up the flag. I'm just giving you the signifiers. What would you expect in a chapter about that? Man's Search for Meaning.
Everything is sort of Chekhov's gun with Shapiro, but it's Chekhov's book.
Yes, yes, that's it. You will always make the most obvious fucking book drop and name drop.
He's like an AdSense algorithm.
Yeah.
I see you're interested in meaning. Well, another book I've read.
No, totally.
Or another book I
absolutely.
know of.
No, absolutely. It's like it's every it's cliche. It's a cliche list.
So,
Ben Shapiro, Reed Nausgaard, 2019.
Now that would be something.
Felix, I'm reading Nausgaard.
He's rocks.
Yeah.
He's the man.
I like this section. He says, even the most ardent atheists have historically conceded that much. Voltaire famously stated, I want my lawyer, my tailor, my servants, even my wife to believe in God, because I believe it means that I shall be cheated and robbed and cuckolded less often. If God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. I think a very funny quote by Voltaire.
Yeah.
But again,
God owned
Ben
that one.
Shapiro's bringing back to the cuckolding thing. It's the second time he's brought that up.
Coming back around.
Without belief in our innate individual value, we collapse into animals incapable of seeking moral purpose, even though we feel the need for it beating in our chest. Again, I just want to underscore again, Ben Shapiro has literally written an article, not just a tweet, saying collateral damage and civilian casualties in Iraq and of Arabs, doesn't matter to me. I think it's okay and worth
think about it at all.
Because I've made the moral judgment in mind that their lives aren't, literally he said that their lives aren't worth the same as even a single American soldier.
Yep.
Oh, no, I get it. That's how I get
Now
that
that's
one.
that's the fucking meaning.
That's just moral math.
That's the moral meaning right there.
He goes into talk about, there's another line I like. All of the American founders were self-help specialists.
Love is the
Wait a minute.
greatest
They sure as hell
crime.
didn't help themselves pick the fucking cotton.
Yeah.
And he says Washington spent his formative
Life
years
as a
copying
teenage
out rules
detective. I
for
love that they're
civility.
reading romantic
And he
shit
mentions
about
Ben,
Those two things have to do with each other.
And he goes, wait, Benjamin Franklin was a notorious devotee of
Bonnie and
self-betterment. He actually created a calendar of virtues, seeking to wipe out his tendency toward wrongdoing. Another thing Ben Franklin was a notorious devotee of, French widows and divorcees.
Of course.
Yo, my man gotten it in.
Prostitutes and meetings of the Hellfire
be this
Society
time,
Club.
that's for sure.
You know that?
Yeah.
He went, him and Jonathan Ish or whatever his name, and were having weird orgies underneath a church when he lived in London. He was a fucking perv.
Everyone in charge has always done that.
Yes,
It's
of course.
real. They just have, mislocated the
Yeah.
the centrality of it.
These guys, all the good things these guys did in his mind can all be defined by their essential virtues. Everything bad they did.
I love how
was
they
just
hold it
a
sideways.
mistake or something.
Or yeah, it's an aberration, not the actual reflection of.
Just wouldn't those things have I'm not
gets to
a
pick
big
which
gun
part,
person, but
which aspect
like
of their
insane
character
character.
and their behavior counts.
I would love to have an orgy in the 18th century.
Oh, God.
I bet
Can
that
you
smelled
believe it?
amazing.
I bet the smells
Oh,
would be
the wafting
amazing.
smell. Oh man.
I would love to get
The
lead.
corsets.
I would love to get lead poisoning from my maiden's
Yes.
makeup.
Oh,
You should know this from playing games.
I
Like, what the
love, I
fuck? And now
love
I'm
wearing a
thinking about it.
condom made out of a lobster shell.
Removing all those smegma-covered lacy collars.
Oh, a lacy collar right around.
Solid
Pro
city
necklace
over
and
here.
a lacy collar.
I'd love to think about it.
We love to think about
How,
it.
by the
how
way,
have we continued as
not
a species?
lobsters.
Sex used to be way grosser.
French women and prostitutes would
You'd have
use
to kill,
citrus rinds as diaphragms,
Yep.
which actually kind of worked because the acid would kill
yeah, but you
sperm.
burn your pussy with citric acid.
Yeah, I'd imagine it
Yeah.
hurts as well.
It
Yeah.
can't feel good.
No, it's the past sucks so bad.
Oh well,
It's
talk.
so
talk
bad.
okay,
the
talk.
past sucks so.
Like,
fucking
we're not
bad.
pinker people here, but like the past definitely sucks.
Oh, it was so.
Olden
bad.
times were bad.
Oh
So-
my God.
Okay, so here's the synthesis though. They put orange peels in their cooters. So Dan Quinn realized that the orange peel.
Speaking of playing the violin,
He realized that the orange peel had
Speak on
nothing
it.
to do with
Speak on
eating
it,
pussy.
Chetawala.
That eating pussy had to do with music, the violin. The orange peel could help in smoking weed and could help him beat 9 hits off of one bowl and potentially win the weed smoking Olympics.
Playing violin with my dad taught me how to eat pussy.
Yeah, Dan Quinn is Jerusalem and Athens.
Yes, he's
Yes,
100%.
he has built the bridge.
Yeah, I could.
Dan
the way,
Quinn is Baltimore.
Well, Dan Quinn's Sacramento. He's the most Sacramento man. He's the most NorCal man. I think everyone in Northern California, they just
Shit.
wake up in their
Does that not
cars
do
and start
anything for my
recording
health?
into their
Okay,
phones.
well, I didn't know
Like
that.
that's how. Like if
I
you're
thought I was
married and
going,
you
like,
want
where's
your
your-
wife to like go to the grocery store on the way home from work, your phone's on your dashboard and you're like, all right, listen up, you fucking pussy.
Well,
I've been told you.
That's why that is essentially one of the reasons I find myself physically repulsed by Ben Shapiro's or any of these videos, or like owning a liberal or owning a homeless person with logic or whatever, is because I like YouTube videos where people get called out and owned, but like Dan Quinn, that's the real shit. Where he calls out Crazy Joe, or the woman knocking on the door of the Burger King
I'm
bathroom.
busy. It was the Starbucks.
A Starbucks bathroom, yeah.
I admit YouTube used to be something
Right,
awful
fuck you.
happened where YouTube used to be just people like in their bathroom mirrors being like, and another thing for all you fucking pussies out there, yeah, I've had sex. Like it that went away and it just became like PragerU and just algorithm. It sucked. It became like produced versions of that. Ben Shapiro could never be as compelling
Like,
as Demonius X.
The thing is, I've been reading,
Never, it's
I've been reading you guys this, and you, the listener, this book. Like again, I cannot be stressed enough. Ben Shapiro is routinely talked about as a leading intellectual figure
Cool
on the
kids
right,
philosopher.
the cool kids philosopher, as the New York Times described him. His writing is dog shit, and it is written by a stupid person for
Yep.
stupid people.
Yep.
He cannot craft a compelling sentence or paragraph to save his life.
Nope.
The parts where he actually is describing his thesis or like the statements he's laying out are such childish nonsense that like it is like a freshman in college
and the
paper
worst part
that we
about
get a
it
C.
is this is a stupid person talking down to you. That's what it is. It's
Yeah,
like
he still has
he's
contempt,
condescending to you
intellectual
in the
contempt
prose while
for- yeah.
being a fucking dullard, which is the worst possible combination.
Yeah.
All right,
People with an
I forgot I
undue
could
sense
do
of intellectual confidence.
Yeah.
Just the best people.
Here's another line that I really like that will speak to his abilities as a writer. Our society was built on recognition of these 4 elements. Those are
Fire.
No. It's breakdancing, graffiti, MCing, and
Find, torture, kill.
He says, sorry, the 4 elements according to Ben are individual moral purpose, individual capacity, collective moral purpose, and collective capacity. So that's just 2 things that he's applying to, that's just 2 things.
I got an idea. People need humans need purpose in a godless age. I agree. How about building fucking socialism? How's that for a purpose? How about getting humans to a point where we actually are free of the burdens of fucking history and of capitalism and can begin the very first time in history begin the process of even trying to achieve human potential, all of which can only be done in the context of socialism, which we are horribly far from, and which we have a responsibility personally and morally and collectively
not
to
trying,
fucking
but
pursue, and that we could actually just find purpose in doing that,
or allowing the planet to be inhabitable 30 fucking years.
There's
from now.
another fucking
There's
purpose.
a huge purpose.
That's a good one. Are you going to tell me that a guy on a fucking sinking battleship trying to get guys
that
into
was the last one. I
the
wasn't
lifeboats,
looking
that guy doesn't have meaning in that moment? He's got more meaning than he ever will again in his life.
Okay, I hear.
That's where we are.
I hear what you're saying, but can I counter that with? But what about Jerusalem and Athens?
Yeah.
I would like to speak on those 2 cities for a moment, if I would.
Jerusalem's going to be a fucking lazy river if we don't do something.
Okay, so those are the 4 elements, but this is the thing I highlighted that I really like. Our society was built on the recognition of these 4 elements: the fusion of Athens and Jerusalem, tempered by the wit and wisdom of the founding fathers. Like they're fucking like a Dave Barry book or something. It's tempered by their potent quotables of Ben Franklin.
In Ben Shapiro's mind, the founding fathers changed human history by writing fan fiction about Jerusalem and Athens.
This guy's literally like a fucking Muppet in a kitchen going, well, you take a pinch of freedom and a dash of Judeo-Christianity and it comes out America.
It's just like the same thing as like, previously I'd always wondered what it would have been like if Link and Donkey Kong knew each other. This is Kingdom Hearts shit.
Oh, that will help me finish
Kingdom Hearts
the
for Western
pass.
civilization.
Yeah.
You know what?
Right?
That actually is kind of it's
Like,
like
I
it's
take
a
it.
giant
Okay,
game you
okay,
get to
I
play
get it.
where it's just like
So the shoes will
Thomas
help me
Jefferson
unlock
and
more stars.
Aristotle together.
It's like the end of Bill and Ted, where they're all on stage.
No, this was a terrible book. I
Yeah.
didn't enjoy the parts that I had to read. I started to glaze over after a while, and I don't want to read anything about this again. I'm reading Nausgard, nothing but that from now on.
How can
Probably-
Nausgard write books that are like literally 500 times longer and just
And also just
totally
about like moving a
Well,
refrigerator with your
seconds.
father-in-law,
The 3
and they're
days with the
great.
they're totally
Let's do it
gripping.
then.
Like the part Nausgard wrote like 100 pages about when he was
seconds.
dating a girl he didn't really like when he was 15.
I have to get something
and
like
it was
faster shoes,
a
right?
million times more interesting than any of this.
All right, I'm gonna close out the first chapter. It says here the
I
history
need
of
to
the
open that
West
door without
is
killing it.
built on interplay between these 2 pillars: divine meaning and reason, and also the 2 cities that we mentioned. What were they again?
St. Paul and Minneapolis. Twin cities of
Yes,
St. Paul
and there are actually bridges connecting
There
them.
are a number
but they're
of
in a
them.
bad state of disrepair. We must invest in
One of them
infrastructure.
fucking collapsed and killed a bunch of people.
We do believe that Somali-style ISIS has been pouring citrus acid on the bridge to weaken it over a course of 3 decades.
So he says, we receive our notions of divine meaning from a 3 millennia
why didn't you
old
come with
lineage
them?
stretching back to the ancient Jews. We receive our notions of reason from a 2,500-year-old lineage stretching back to the ancient Greeks. In rejecting those lineages,
stupid.
Really just
like,
can't line
and
up.
first of all, who is
Still
rejecting?
doesn't really talk about like
Oh, damn it.
Just the idea
what
that
happened,
that these
like
things
how
are
this doesn't
defined
work
by
anymore.
these trajectories
Here, guys.
only, and that no other cultures presented any
not you.
versions of them.
And also, it
And-
has nothing to do with material reality
Of course,
either.
like
It's just
what's moving
ideas.
these things?
Yeah, they
What's
was it, right?
in his mind?
Here's
these things
here's
are
a
moving
guy
by
for
a
you,
spirit.
Hegel.
Yeah.
Hegel. He's a Hegelian. This man. This
Well,
man
it's
is a
just-
filthy
Hey, buddy.
Hegelian.
You got to turn it over like Marx did. You got to get to where the
Please
thing
don't kick
moving
me.
is the actual material reality. This is all just ghosts. This is just haunting.
So he goes, in rejecting those lineages, and again, like I'd like any sort of indication that America or the Western civilization has just rejected ancient Greek history or the Old Testament.
I mean,
I
they're
think
rejecting
I can-
everything in the
okay,
face of capitalism,
There has to be,
absorbing
like,
everything
fashion
into
and
a
stuff.
matrix of price and
So he goes, and again,
cost benefit.
I want you guys to remember
You
now.
want to talk about killing God? That did a hell of a lot to do with
We started out our,
capitalism.
our
No, why am I
conversation
doing
talking about how
this?
Ben Shapiro is like
There's no way.
left Breitbart because they're like, oh, they're anti-Semitic
Yeah.
and like this is the new like sort of racist right-wing populism that I can't fully sign
Definitely
on
if I
to, even though I
fall over
basically
like that
kind of
too,
agree
it's
with it.
definitely not gonna happen.
Here's how he ends the chapter. In rejecting those lineages, in seeking to graft ourselves to rootless philosophical movements of the
I hate
moment,
those rootless
cutting ourselves
cosmopolitans.
off from our own roots, we have damned ourselves to an existential
Not bad,
wandering.
not bad.
We have become
but what?
rootless cosmopolitan
I guess never
wandering
mind then.
Jews, and we must make our way back
Fucking
to
lame.
our roots.
Holy
No,
shit.
I'm one of the good ones.
Yeah, this kind of shit, that's the most
he's a
anti-Semitic
cuck.
thing I've ever heard.
He's a cuck.
How you can't get more cuck than a fucking
He's
anti-Semitic
trying to
Jew.
suck up to anti-Semites
Holy
now.
shit. That's astounding.
I know we've gone along with this one and probably definitely driven you guys crazy by reading this to you.
Yeah,
and,
no, we've lost our minds.
I just want to say, Matt, you any other things that you read?
The one that always takes my eye is is the potted history of America going from of reconciling the Constitution with slavery and Indian destruction, and how you make the founders these paragons of human virtue when they were doing all this horrible stuff, and of course it's like just classic Whig history, which is the literal opposite of dialectical materialism, where it's all just ideas and everything getting better over time and just pulled magically along.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that is Ben Shapiro. Those are the 2 cities that make the one city.
Okay, I'm not
we
gonna
built
do that
this
shit right
city on rock and roll.
Yeah, it's rock and roll.
But before we leave you today, we have some some exciting tour dates and things to plug.
Plug
so
time.
Starting with, we will be doing a show Friday, April 26th at Cornell University for their Union Days 2019, closing out their it's like a week-long event about unions and labor. We are doing a show at Cornell University on Friday, April 26th.
Can't wait to check out the gorgeous.
Oh, so many gorgeous.
Tickets are available. We will put the link to that in the show description. As we mentioned before, shortly thereafter that, May 1st, we will be doing a fundraiser show.
Very excited about
a night of Chapo pub quiz at Housing Works in Brooklyn on May 1st. Again, links for that will be.
We will all be writing categories, and Felix, I know things are probably going to change between now and then, but could you give anybody an example of where your head is at, maybe where they might get your questions from?
I just wake up every day. I'm like, I'm gonna get nutty with it today. So, if you want to get nice, you want to get nutty, you want to learn about whatever I care about that day. It might be the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. It might be New Wave Cinema. I may get really into Tears for Fears. I've already done that one, but I don't know. Look, a philosopher named Ben Shapiro once said that pleasure is not found in the golf course or in the opium den.
In the boardroom or the discoteca.
It's found just jumping from interest to interest every week until you no longer have to be alone with your own thoughts.
Yeah, that is the whole goal.
Whatever one I land on, then that's what you're getting.
Good luck, folks.
Okay.
You won't get a single one, pussies. You fucking suck. Don't worry. I'm just trying to fire them up, whatever category I pick.
What the fuck? Oh no. Damn it. Ugh. Do that. Bro, I'm so done. I'm done. I skip those other guys, it doesn't matter. Oh my god! I did not expect that to happen. Okay, cool. Damn it! Aw, damn. How did I fuck that up? Freak out when I come through that window because they all have eyes on me. Oh no. Getting super sloppy. Forget him. Oh, I should jump off to the side. Is that what they're trying to tell me to do with the arrows? Like, they're saying to go right through there, but there's another window off to the side. Fuck me, man. Okay. Yeah, maybe I should go to bed now. I get pissed off. It's like 4 in the morning. Hey.
Who gon' take it there? 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 Electricity, 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 electricity. You know what's in the air. 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 It's possibility. It's possibility. It's possibility. It's possibility.
All right, so Dasha Nekrasova of the Red Scare podcast has been fired from her talent agencies and the movies that she was on because she did an interview with Nick Fuentes recently. So this Red Scare pod, I've never mentioned it before, but these girls have been around for a long time. And essentially the genesis of it was Dasha Nekrasova was in a viral video that was posted by none other than InfoWars, where she was at a Bernie Sanders rally and this on-the-ground person asked her, you know, why are you a communist or something like that? And her response was like, she made a joke about eat the rich, and then she just said, I want everybody to have health care. And so that became a moment that a lot of people related to in terms of, this is the sensible politics. Like, all this other shit you guys are talking about is crazy. I just want people to have health care. And ever since then, she has been able to leverage that into a podcasting career with this other girl, Anna Kachian. So they've been doing this Red Scare podcast thing for a long time. It was always sort of the edgelordy kind of left stuff where sometimes you had to even wonder what it was that they were up to. But they were in that space for a long time. And then ever since that initial sort of Trump era, they've been pretty steadily just on the right. And I don't know if it's a pivot or if that was always their goal. It was sort of a candid, on-the-ground moment that this initial viral video was, but it seems pretty suspicious to me that that girl specifically goes on to have a left-wing podcasting career that then turns into this right-wing grift. And they've both, like, converted to Christian nationalism at this point. And, you know, when they had Nick Fuentes on their podcast, Dasha specifically was like fangirling out the whole time. She said that she's a fan of his, a huge fan. And so the whole interview was that from that perspective. And everybody all of a sudden feels like they have to do this warm introductory podcast with Nick Fuentes on the right, they've just been doing that, and it has stirred a significant amount of controversy, more so than you might have thought. And it seems like, you know, these girls thought that the discourse was at a point where you can talk to Nick Fuentes, have a casual conversation with him about, you know, a whiter America and international Jewry, and people wouldn't care or wouldn't be able to do anything to you about it. But on the right, it has become this infight where you have the more corporate and establishment element of the party that is all of a sudden realizing that they've let a lot of Nazis into the right-wing movement. And so Nick Fuentes kind of represents the moment where the fever breaks and people realize that this is a real form of ideology that actually has a lot of purchase in the movement. And whether it be Nick Fuentes or his followers or other commentators like him, it's this whole culture on the right of sort of reveling in Hitlerism, Nazism, and white nationalism and fascism. And Nick Fuentes has always been on the cutting edge of that. And so I'm not going to play much from this interview, but just this quick moment where right at the beginning where they're talking about Hassan, and they mentioned the interview that Hassan did recently with Ross Douthat, and you know Ross was trying to grill him about what he actually believes. And I'm not here to just make this about Hassan and just defending him, because I also thought he could have done a little bit better in that interview. But this is what they had to say about it real quick. And I think this just shows first of all, how dumb they are, but also the dishonesty of the entire conversation.
I think they lie. Like when Hassan was asked, what is your cause? He gave like...
Now, yeah, when questioned about whether they're like socialists or communists, they'll be like, oh, I'm a social democrat or a democratic socialist or whatever. But do you really think that they're lying, and do they know that they're lying?
Yes, I think it's intentional. I think they're obscuring it.
But to what end?
But do you think,
what does Hassan Piker really
do you think like Hassan Piker and Zohran Mamdani actually want to reappropriate the wealth of like middle class white people at gunpoint?
I do, yeah. I think that, well, I mean, you know, Hassan, he is a Marxist, and I think Zohran is a democratic socialist. He said there shouldn't be billionaires. So it's like, what's the implication? There's going to be like a confiscation or a taxation policy that's confiscation.
So this is such a dumb critique here, such an obvious case of kind of self-analysis disguised as a criticism, because she says that in this moment where Ross asked him if he would support, you know, going to Beverly Hills with like police force and by force stealing people's assets, he was calling up this image of like a Marxist seizure of the means of production and asking Hassan if that's what he believes in. And Hassan genuinely could have gave a better answer to that. I'll play it real quick.
So it goes into Beverly Hills or something, and it says today the city council has voted to expropriate your lavish, undeserved wealth and return your homes to the people. And that's backed up by police power, so it's violent, but it's not shooting people against the wall. But like, is that what you mean? That kind of redirection?
A similar structure I think like has been attempted or was exhibited in Cuba, and I think it was Fidel Castro himself who personally took back any farmland from his own family members that went above and beyond what the state had designed. Now, obviously, this is a terrifying concept for a lot of people. So this is so far out in the future.
Yep. Right.
Yeah, this is so far out in the future for even someone like myself that like I don't even see the necessity of arguing on how this would work.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the answer to that is pretty easy, which is like, no, obviously that's not what it would look like, because that's not how the law works in America. And also that's not necessary in terms of when we're talking about redistribution. We're talking about tax policy and just setting laws up so that businesses' funds are allocated differently. This idea of like seizing land or like gold or money from people in Beverly Hills, it's just a stupid premise. And I think for whatever reason in that interview, Hassan was maybe like, at least in that moment, he also articulates what I'm saying, but I think in that moment he didn't do a good job of just being like, that's a dumb way to think about what my ideology is. However, to try to say that that's an example of Hassan lying about what he believes in is communist, radical, eat the rich, and yet he's lying about it, and he's saying, You know, oh, I'm just a reasonable democratic socialist or whatever. And meanwhile, you're sitting with Nick Fuentes, whose entire movement is based on deception and trying to create a veneer of acceptability in order to normalize ideas like mass murder, or just the idea that it's better for America to be majority white. That was not a normal thing to think not that long ago, but Nick Fuentes has normalized it. And so that seems to be the Red Scare project. I think this is the ultimate realization of what the project has always been. I think Dasha has been interested in Nick Fuentes for a long time, probably has been listening to him for a long, long time. I know she's mentioned it before. Probably a big part of this Christian nationalist turn that she's taken has been because of Nick Fuentes. It just smells like a grift and just a lie through and through. And so, like I said, they cloak themselves in this irony and this idea that we're post-woke, so nothing we say matters and none of this stuff actually matters. And yet you come up against a wall when the person that you are platforming is Nick Fuentes. And I just think it's funny that they're all dealing with that. Them, Tucker Carlson. The controversy is real. And that's because this movement in the Conservative Party, I think the more establishment types that are now posturing against that, even people that are part of the establishment of the Heritage Foundation and whatnot, most of which are Zionists, are now starting to understand that what they've let into the movement isn't, ironic racism, and it's not just owning the libs, and it's also not anti-Zionist. You know what I mean? Like, it's the ideology is not about opposing Zionism, because they don't actually care about what that ideology does. They just care about the fact that they feel like Jews are controlling America. And so the nature of that conspiracy and the widest blanket that they can possibly cast in terms of how much of American society is controlled by Jews is what they are interested in. And that has become what the Republican Party is, especially a lot of the young Republican movement. And so you're seeing not just opposition to Israel in that, but you're starting to see, Holocaust denial, glorification of Hitler, glorification of the Holocaust in pretty mainstream ranks of the Republican Party. And I don't know how they think they can win that, because when it comes to the actual power and political capital that the right now has, it's almost entirely as a function of that movement. And Nick Fuentes, what makes him a formidable enough figure that he's lasted all this time and seems to even be gaining momentum now, is that he identified that hatred is a very powerful political motivator. And so you can keep it as an undercurrent of your movement as long as it's there. And that's where the cheeky jokes come from and whatnot. And so once that goes away, and once you start trying to clamp down on that and reinstate the fact that that's not allowed, you don't have a movement anymore. And so there's no way for the Republican Party to recover from the fact that they've allowed that in. And so what's more likely to happen is that Israel is going to continue to be a focus and a lightning rod in American politics. And the way that politicians handle that issue is going to define how they're viewed by a broader young demographic. And also it's going to define where the future of American politics is. Because if people view our relationship with Israel as one of us being exploited by the Jews, the answer is not going to just be, cut off ties with Israel and arms embargo or whatever. They are going to demand a deeper, more genocidal solution to that problem in their view. We've been here before. That is the right-wing reactionary approach. And so politicians who are offering a vision of the issue that correctly calls to attention the fact that Israel as a nation and their abuse of human rights is the problem, and it's a chance for America to distance ourselves from that on the world stage. And in doing so, a politician like Zohran Mamdani can also focus on the politics of America in a way that is designed to make people's life easier here and alleviate inequality here. Because as long as inequality exists, there are always going to be right-wing reactionaries that find a way to make a cultural and racial argument about it because they don't want to address the inequality. And you see this with J.D. Vance, where he is willing to come out and say, young people feel like housing is so unaffordable. And the reason is because all of these immigrants are coming over here and making housing more expensive. That's bullshit. Obviously, he knows that's bullshit. But it's a way to not address the problem that housing is a commodity that is speculated on, and many units are built just to lay empty so that they can accrue more value and be betted on and traded for more. And so the politicians that are willing to address those economic factors and oppose what is considered vaguely to be the establishment, those are going to be the ones who give us a way out of this incredibly fascistic moment that we're finding ourselves in. Because people like Nick Fuentes and his enablers want us to continue barreling in a direction where violence is more normalized as a solution. Violence against people in your community is normalized as something that simply needs to be done. And the problems of inequality are a result of international Jewry. The right is always going to keep taking us in that direction. Again, they've done this before. We've been here before. And so it's up to us, it's up to the left to offer a version of politics that can move people away from that so that when this moment ends, and it looks like it's coming to an end, because again, these people thought that they couldn't be canceled anymore or that it doesn't matter anymore, and yet somehow it's never mattered as much as when Nick Fuentes starts coming around. And that's because people know what this guy actually represents. So now that the movement is crashing because the head of the movement is being outed as a pedophile more and more, and he's freaking out, absolutely freaking out, just about the fact that the House would pass this bill about him releasing the files. That doesn't even mean that they get released. But he's flipping out, he's unendorsing Marjorie Taylor Greene, falling apart, and we're certainly not anywhere near the end of this term yet, but it seems like there is now some pushback to this normalization of fascism that seemed pretty unchallenged in the first leg of Trump's presidency. And after that comes out in the wash, you're going to have a bunch of people that still have their economic frustrations, and they're still all mixed up emotionally, and they still don't know who to point the finger at. But they're going to have these reactionary ideas in their head because people like Nick Fuentes have spread them very far. And so when Zohran Mamdani and his administration takes over in New York, and they immediately set to work figuring out how the law and like old laws and case law in New York can be utilized to pressure companies to bring down their prices. Something that's materially designed to affect someone's life, like on the front end. It's a consumer side result. That's not a strategy that's focused on 5 years from now or 5 years after my administration is gone. You'll start to feel some positive effects in your life. But right now, the tools of government can be used to make your life better, and in a way that's balanced. That's not going to, tip the scales of society in some dangerous direction. If people see that can work, they'll gravitate to it, especially as the hatred method starts to become more tiresome, more unbearable, more cringe, all of which it will with people like Dasha Nekrasova, Nick Fuentes, and Donald Trump being the ones who are peddling it. But the solution is not an amalgamous, nameless populism that can only serve to continue to establish corporate dominance, but find a way to make it nicer. But rather something that actually challenges that corporate dominance. And that's the interesting thing about what they said about Hassan's ideology. They said Hassan obviously believes in appropriation of middle-class resources. That's what they said in that video. Because he believes in that there shouldn't be billionaires. So, that's a crazy equivalence being drawn between those things. That obviously is not equivalent. But they're also scratching up against the issue that is creating all of this culture war discourse in the first place, which is the inequality. So they thrive in that space where they can point at the inequality, they can point at the elephant in the room, and then they come up with a bunch of ridiculous solutions, explanations, rationalizations for it, rather than the very simple policy of people need to, by law, be required to distribute the profits and the means of production of their company more equally. And ownership of businesses and money needs to be less concentrated. It's a very coherent ideology, and it's only going to become more appealing to people, hopefully, if it works in places like New York and Seattle, but also as the fascist movement continues to reveal itself as impotent, flawed, disgusting, reprehensible, etc.
Alright, no.
Who gon' take it there? 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 Electricity, 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 electricity. You know what's in the air. 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 It's possibility. It's possibility. It's possibility. It's possibility.
How did I not die?
All right, so Kyle Kalinske and Asmongold have gotten into a back and forth. If you don't know, Kyle Kalinske is the owner and main commentator at Secular Talk, which really is just his outfit. He's had a left-wing media operation, independent operation for quite a long time. It's always been just him, I believe. He puts out a ton of content. At this point, he's one of the leading voices when it comes to the left, sort of in the YouTube online space. And Asmongold, same thing. He's bigger than Kyle is. I believe he has 4 million subscribers on YouTube. Kyle has 2 million, but Asmongold actually comes from the Twitch space, where he also has a huge audience. And I believe that the YouTube thing was really just kind of a byproduct of his Twitch channel. He just reposts content from Twitch on YouTube, but has gained a lot of dominance in the YouTube space doing that. And he mostly comes from the typical streamer background of just like playing video games to an audience. But Asmongold is particularly disgusting.
Oh my God.
He's known for not showering. He's known for not cleaning his house and having dead animals around him in it, and just sort of living a disgusting life on stream, not being able to drink water without cringe.